split one already. I am your host, Glitter Explosion, and we have the duo themselves, Onset and Gasket, together. Yeah, how we feeling, Onset?
I feel good. I feel safe now. Just knowing that Dan's embrace is not too far away, and you know, Land's coming up soon. I can hold him. Like I'm going to, this is a TMI introduction for me and Dan. Yeah, very excited to be back. EMEA's gonna be fun today. Looking forward to it. America's later, but let's focus on EMEA and less about me and Dan.
All right, Gasket, how about you? Are you happy to be back with Mark?
Of course, I said yes last week. Vicky was my safety net, but Mark is my cradle. You know, I have to have someone to hold me and keep me safe. But no, for realsies, it's going to be a good match week because, you know, the scrims have been very interesting recently. Everyone's trying to work out how they're going to progress going forward because we've still not seen a single team in this region win 2 wins in a match day, which I still think is insane. Very hard to be consistent at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a very spicy first half of the split, to be sure. And because of that, we decided to start things off a little bit thematically here today. A little bit of fun before we dive into the news. We're doing hot takes. Now, this is different from our previous hot takes, okay? We are going to be given hot takes, and then we are going to be reacting to them to see whether or not we agree with said hot takes. Are you guys prepared?
No.
Whose hot takes are they?
Honestly, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Unclear. Social media. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay, so this is the first time we've seen these as well, so I'm terrified.
Hot take number 1, there are no strong IGLs in EMEA other than Hackett.
Oh, we just started the show. We just started. Dan?
This is hot
first.
right out the gate. Are you kidding me?
I'll let you go first, Dan. What do you think on that one?
I agree. Hackett is the only strong IGL in EMEA. There we go. That's a hot take. I think he's the only one.
Is your hot take essentially like
I'm just gonna quickly throw in there that take
is, want to get Mark ready.
Is a little bit, you know, just forget about a certain, you know, maybe someone who won a world championship.
Yeah,
I'd probably say, you know, Yaka probably a pretty good IGL.
This is a awful take. There is plenty of incredible IGLs. I mean, even just seeing the up-and-coming IGLs. That's one of the things that I've been loving about these recent match days, is we've seen a few IGLs who are quite young. It's not often we get these young IGLs that are coming through as well. But people are now just not trying to be a controller fragger. They're trying to be an IGL as well.
Next one, and this is for Mark, I think, specifically. I don't know if anybody saw Onset Social, but this is definitely for you, Mark. Power boosters are balanced.
The worst take of all time. I have given my opinion on social media. I've engaged with a lot of people, some positively, some negatively, as social media often does, and it serves for me as a good reminder as to why I don't use it very often. However, I am, as always, completely 100% right. And the power booster at the moment, it's not so much the power booster's fault, it's the fact that it's the curve of power with abilities, the cooldowns coming down with everything, the legends that we're seeing being used, especially in the ALGS. It's just a bit too much at the moment. A bit too much, in my personal opinion. Hey, look at the stats, back it up, everyone. I told you I'm right.
This is Mark's way of saying get rid of the power booster entirely.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
I think it's perfectly balanced. I'm glad that the players are working out which is the best one to use now. It is the power booster. It's great to see a bubble every 8 seconds. Honestly, like, why wouldn't you want a bubble every 8 seconds that you have to play against? No, we need the power booster nerf. I'm going to agree with Mark. I don't always agree with Mark, but I think he's completely right here. Those end games are insane when you just look at bubble, bubble, bubble. It wouldn't matter, but now it's an EMP bubble. How are you supposed to go up against an EMP bubble every 8 seconds, if not more, if he gets a knock? Sorry, I'm done.
Is the problem really the power booster or the EMP bubble? That's a separate conversation, I guess.
It's the power booster. Don't worry about that one. It's the power booster.
Okay, the third and final one. No EMEA teams are capable of winning champs this year. Third and final hot take for the day. Mark, you don't have to raise your hand. You can yell.
I'm just being polite. I just wanted to say, I wonder where the person who tweeted this lives. Because if that person is not based in, I don't know, let's pick a random place in the world. Maybe North America. Maybe North America. Then, you know, just a slow, you know, recent memory bias has slipped through their fingers because, you know, we have a EMEA world champion. And, you know, not this time around. Yes, we understand, but the last one. We've also had Alliance winning a LAN. I mean, hello? Like, have you just joined us? If you have, welcome. We're very happy to have you, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the show. But if you haven't, that is just a wild take.
Dan?
I guess, well, they're trying to come from, you know, the best team in the region split up. So in theory, the region gets worse. I'm trying to think about how someone...
That's a hot take. You saying Alliance got worse?
Well, in theory, yes. I am saying that because with time and practice and chemistry, it's always going to take time to get used to a new player. So yes, I do think the region got worse by that breakup, but I think the potential and the skill ceiling, they could get better. So that's also exciting.
To be fair, Jameson said the same thing in the first week. It hasn't yet to be illustrated, but we'll have to see. We still have an entire second half of the split to go. And of course, if you guys want to maybe see your hot takes up here on our show, just follow us on social media, tweet at us, send us your hot takes, whether that's at Play Apex Esports on X, Insta, YouTube, or TikTok, and of course, Play Apex on Twitch. As long as you guys are following along there, send us your thoughts, and then maybe you'll end up on here for the next time we get to do a little bit of a hot take
or
segment.
tweet
and
Mark, because apparently he replies to people on social media now.
The amount of
Just reply to
I've
Mark's
been receiving in
tweets.
recent times, I'm like, I need to do it more. I need to bait people more. By the way, I love this as a start to the show because this has got me fired up. Like, this has actually got me fired up now. I was already excited, but now I'm like, I'm here. I'm in the moment.
He's ready to yell. He's ready to fight. And now it's time for us to take a look at the Pro League standings to see where all of our squads are. Like I keep mentioning, it's match day 5. That's already halfway through. So this is a good indication of where some of our teams are starting to shake up here at Gaskin.
Yeah, Pot now still leading the way, 64 points. Made in Heaven now starting to catch him up. I love this Made in Heaven roster, by the way. I think I was mentioning it last week. I think they've found the perfect blend. My real question is what happens post-Pro League when we get to international competition, get to LAN, because when we see these players typically get to those kind of tournaments, that's when they fall off a little bit. So I want to see Made in Heaven be able to not only perform well online, but also find their footing in LAN, and maybe this will be the perfect 3 to do so.
Yeah, and we get to kind of take a look at where some of the teams are currently spread out. We're going to take a look at the squads that are much more comfortable when it comes to getting into those regional finals, and these are some of those squads, Mark, and we've seen some serious pop-off performances from them.
We have, but one performance usually isn't enough to get it done. But with how the split's gone this time, it feels like every week, if you have one big pop-off game, you give yourself a really good chance when it comes to like final standings and where things end up. So excited to see the bubble teams and how they're going to play out, because I think there's a couple of teams in there which one good match day could be the difference between them qualifying for LAN or maybe falling the wrong side of that bubble. You look at the likes of GG, Blessed, HM, the Horde, Infinite, some really well-established players. The damn world champion, you've got the Horde. All of those players qualified for finals many, many times. No, you talk about young IGLs. I mean, on HM, I think he's been a phenomenal addition there. And then, you know, Blessed, Max Strafey, Artico, Sanya, these guys have qualified for LANs. We know their situation, haven't been able to go there. Would love nothing more than to see those 3 people back on the main stage. I think they deserve it more than anyone. And GG, I mean, Lufka, Zane, Blast. It feels weird to not have some of these players at LAN. I think that they all want to make it, obviously, and I think they all deserve to as well.
Agree. And we've got a lot of experienced players on these teams as well. And it doesn't mean they're not making it either, Chad. This is just those teams that are in the bubble that need to continue, if not just do a little bit more. But now we're looking at these teams that are a little bit farther away, even more so, Dan. And this is going to be a harder road for them.
Yeah, I think Citadel Gaming is the biggest surprise for me down in the gotta step it up section, because when we were talking about the rebuild of this region when Alliance were trying to be caught up by everyone else, like Citadel were one of these teams where we were like, you know, this could be the next big thing. These are players who are young, they are hungry, lol, but they are also a team that were performing well. They were actually finding points, but this split, I don't know if it's this current meta or what, but they haven't found their footing whatsoever. They've looked a little bit better in scrims here or there lately, so we'll see whether they can carry that through into today's match day.
100%. And it'll be good for everybody at home to follow along and track how all of those teams are doing as well. But today we're going to be focusing on groups A and C. We've only gotten to see these teams face off one time before, obviously. And this is one of those groups I think everybody is very excited for, because every time we get into the group that has Alliance and Aurora facing off, everybody sits up a little bit straighter in their chairs and gets ready to see how the competition will play out. And we are going to find out exactly how it's going to play out right now, because game number 1 is ready to go. So on set, Gaskin, let's kick off match day 5.
Let's get into it, everybody. Welcome along. It's going to be a lovely day of action, of course. If you caught up a little bit, if you caught up with APAC North, APAC South, and you were up early, good on you. I was there as well. Well, for APAC North, APAC South a little bit early for me, I've got to be honest with you. But Dan, this is going to be our match rotation today as we look at EMEA and what they can bring to the table. Match number 1, we're starting off on E District before we move over to the second half of it being on Olympus.
Yeah, and this is two interesting maps to have to play on as well. I think that we've seen a lot of teams struggle in particular on both of these. So now you've got to combine the two of them. And the real question is, can you actually find those points? As I alluded to earlier, we've not seen any teams in this region win multiple matches in a single match day. If you can change that here today, that could be your destiny of probably getting further into that top 20. This is the POI draft, though. You can see the prioritization. A lot of people do like to pick on E-District. You can see some other people kind of went away from that, did try and go onto Olympus as well, because they didn't feel like they actually found a good spot here on E-District. But interested to see who actually gets the thing going here, because if you can find a win to start off, you were saying it, Mark, one big win with how the consistency has been going could be enough to have you right at the top of the table at the end of the day.
Yeah, one big game seems to be good enough at the moment. However, something that's been interesting, especially across regions, there seems to be a bit of a rejig of some of the legend bands and what order we're seeing them in. Now, fully expect maybe game one to be an Alter crypto ban. That's what I'm expecting to see here in EMEA, just based on the fact that Alter is certainly very, very popular when it comes to E-District, and obviously usually one of the first bans anyway. Crypto as well up there, but also we're seeing Caustic making it a long way through. And if you compare that to maybe right at the start of the split, Caustic was one of those legends down that it felt like everybody was moaning about, everyone was saying was super strong, and now other legends have come in and Caustic really is lasting the distance when it comes to some of these game days.
Yeah, because it's E-District plus Olympus in scrims, we didn't see Caustic get banned at all. As you said, Alter was the first ban in both recent match days between the two when we saw scrims. So I am expecting it to be Alter followed by Crypto, I would imagine. The interesting thing is when you get to like matches, get to game 5 and 6, we saw a Pathfinder ban in game 5 in scrims, which was a little bit interesting on Olympus. But again, understand it. You want to get the mobility, you want to be able to cross certain areas, and sometimes that zipline can be absolutely perfect. In terms of the best performing E-District teams that we've had so far in Pro League in this region, Pot have 36% of their points on E-District. Made in Heaven have 35% of their points. They are the two leaders, as well as Bandits just behind them. So 3 of our best performing teams in Pro League that are right up there at the top of the overall standings have all found success on E-District.
So list those 3 teams again, just for the lovely people at home to keep an eye on, because we're expecting big performances.
Pot, Made in Heaven, and Bandits. But maybe some underdogs who you haven't necessarily been seeing performing are other teams you've seen. Who else is there? I mean, Mamma Mia, UAV, GG. I know not everyone is performing in this group, but the fact that we are seeing some teams really struggling on something like Stormpoint is a surprise for me, because Stormpoint has usually been people's bread and butter. However, some teams have now found a little bit more of a comfort pick in E-District and just the way it plays.
I just like what I did there, Dan, was try and set you up to be thrown under the bus. I'm really sorry about it. If those 3 teams have bad days today, then it will just make a really good soundbite for next week's show. That's what I'm saying. But the stats speak for themselves, is what you're trying to say here, and I completely agree with you. Those 3 teams are at the top of the leaderboard when it comes to percentages on maps and points where they've managed to allocate them, and I think they're going to be excited to start off on E-District today when it's one of your stronger maps and you're starting on it as well. I think it's a real confidence booster for you as a team.
Yeah, I think definitely just keep an eye on Pot because of just how well they've been playing at the moment, how well they've been moving as a unit as well. It doesn't really matter if they try and avoid the early game fights, but if they have to take an early game fight, they have been scary to go up against. They've been one of those teams that just wins them very quickly indeed. And I've really loved the addition of E-District. Like, ever since we had it, I know there was a few people that didn't really like the map. It went through a few changes, but for me, it just adds a little bit of something different. That's what I think. We're in a beautiful place at the moment with the ALGS, where every map provides a very different game.
Yes.
And then with legend bans coming into it as well, it completely changes the dynamic with legend bans.
Well, also, I'm hoping today that we see a little bit of variety in some of our end games as well. We have been symptomatic of a few repeat zones in the first few weeks. We'll see if we get a little bit more luck, and I think that's one of the reasons maybe that Aurora on their POI draft went down to Humble Labs and tried to see if they could just get a couple of those zones going their way, because we did see a couple of repeat zones going down there. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the case. You've got Infinite just behind them as well, down at Old Town, which is also going to be a very, very good spot to play from should we see that zone pull down to the south. The Horde, of course, over right at the northern side of the map, Electro Dam. They're going to have some pretty good options should there be some end games pulling their way as well. And Alliance will be hoping that there's a couple going their way as well. But as we know, Alliance, they're not too afraid to work their way in from edge. And I'm just interested to see some compositions in this game one as well, because I do feel there's been a little bit of a shift, a little bit of experimentation in recent weeks, or should I say in the recent week or so, when it comes to what legends are going to be picked. And I think that Pathfinder ban in game number 5 in scrims that you were talking about is a really interesting one as well, because that shows that people are thinking outside the box a little bit, maybe trying to get ahead of what they're expecting to see and have previously expected to see when it comes to those compositions.
I think EMEA has always been one of the better regions at experimenting as well. You always see a little bit of a weird comp being thrown around, and when you first see it, you're like, what on earth is happening? But then it starts to develop and people start to realize it works in that region. Changes a lot when we get to Americas. They all seem to have a very similar way of playing the game, but maybe we'll see something very special and different here in EMEA.
All right then, everyone, here we go. Sorry for the wait. We're ready to go now into match number 1, and we're starting off with a little bit of E-District. 6 games to bring you today for EMEA, and we're starting off with GG, one of those teams who needs, Dan, and almost desperately needs to have a good day today.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they are one of these bubble teams, because when you look at this roster, there's so much experience. They are a team that should be finding success, but again, might just be one of those scenarios where the meta really isn't fitting them. If you think back, when GG were at their very best, when Blast was performing well, it was a hard rotate, it was getting zone, it was calling the right zones as well, but now it's been interrupted a little bit by the playstyles of other players, where they're kind of sitting on edge, waiting to get that zone info, and then just diving on in and trying to take that position away from you, and you might not have the armors to play against them. So I do think a team like GG struggles a little bit with this current meta, but with these 2 maps, maybe there is a good chance for them. Maybe without it being Stormpoint, they might have a better opportunity here at playing their game.
Well, Evo harvesters pop up. We're going to have to see what the pathing's going to be, as GG will be dropping over at Stadium and getting their loot together. We're going to take a look at the zone in a few moments' time so that we can see where our end game is going to be. And good news for Alliance and Potassium, because we're going out towards City Hall. Now, the bridge is going to be a very good place to hold, of course. I wonder if Alliance are going to think it's going to pull slightly down to the south of City Hall, because the POI itself, Dan, not a huge amount of end games, usually pulls away from those main buildings and out towards the edge of the map.
Interestingly, City Hall is the worst performing POI in scrims as of late as well, in terms of points per game. So this is going to be an interesting one to see how that statistic gets skewed with the zone pulling to it. Will we see a team find success that is landing there? What's funny is one of the best performing POIs is right next to it, and that is Boardwalk. That's where Alliance is going to be dropping, and now they are going to get to move to a very good position indeed.
Well, we're going to see a little bit of scraps taking place over at City Hall, and HM, we were giving NOVO a lot of credit for the way that he's been IGLing this split of Pro League. Well, he's going to have to try and find a way over to escape, because Make EU Great again are making an early push here, and that's Ekana and Nate are going to pick up some nice KP. Didn't look like NOVO managed to escape somehow or other, though. He gets those shields broken. Thanks to some good shots with that wingman, but it's not going to be enough to take him down.
Yeah, last player is able to escape, and they'll at least be able to get the KP like you were mentioning, but the question is, can you actually get back up? It does look like the answer is yes. You can already see that Feuda's been respawned, and now they're going to have a chance to potentially fight each other here again. Unless you want to try and like move out a little bit now, see if you can get some Evo, see if you can like loot up a little bit so you can be a little bit more well equipped later, or just go for revenge. That's what I do in my ranked games.
Mate, that's what I do straight away. The ego gets the better of me, and if I die next, it's never my fault.
If I die,
my teammates. Anyway,
Mark, something I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, go on.
Right. That's serious, actually. The alternator, you were mentioning it to me. Yes. We were talking about it as well. For a mouse and keyboard player, it's something that you were talking about. Zero had brought up that he thinks it's like the gun you should be using on M&K. I know when we look at statistics of guns being used at the moment, it's the R9, it's the RE45. We haven't seen as much alternator. Are we expecting alternator to pick up in these match days now?
I think so. I think that there's a little bit of a hidden gem there that players are starting to get the head around, especially like you say, the M&K players, because a little bit of a bigger clip gives you a little bit more leeway. But when you get it leveled up and you get that double tap available, especially in end games, you combine bigger mag, better movement on an M&K player, it can rip teams and can play us apart in those big close range moments. So I think it's certainly something you'll see players not afraid of using, and I think you might see a little bit of a pickup in the rate as well. But for the Vicious, they're going to have to try and escape here back through the Void Nexus, as it looks like this push was not successful, and they'll be playing down in these shops just to the south of City Hall. This is actually a pretty good spot to hold for the end game if they can survive. Only thing that might be a slight worry for them is the lack of a defensive legend, so they're going to have to use a lot of EMPs to hold teams off. Maggie drills, if they do get pushed onto those walls, will be good enough as well, but set up for the long game here. Looks like they should be pretty safe.
Should be pretty safe. That's what a lot of teams are just kind of hunkering down now, waiting for that zone to come in before they get the next information where they're going to have to move again. But a lot of these IGLs now, when they see this zone, they pretty much know where they're going to be heading. You can see in the kill feed, ASCII's just been able to get a pick with the charge rifle, but again, that's probably not going to be followed up. That's just damage dealing and building up a little bit of Evo. Stay Healthy are going to be absolutely fine here. They are playing on the caustic. We were just talking about it. There's not as many caustics as we are used to seeing back in the day, but there is going to be a lot of experimentation today, and a lot of it is going to rely on Crypto as well. There's no... it doesn't surprise me that Crypto gets banned so early, just the amount of information and how powerful a legend he is in the moment.
Yeah, also just a fantastic count basically to anything. You know, it's anything that goes down, that EMP is just going to cause problems to it, whether it's barrels, skibby bubbles, whatever it might be. I think a lot of players and teams are happy to see it go early. Just gives them a little bit more flexibility in what they can play afterwards, due to the hard counter that EMP really does give to a lot of different abilities that other legends do use. Alliance, though, they are going to play here on the car park, just on the outside of this zone, expecting it to pull a little bit deeper in towards where they dropped. And at the moment, Aku's just waiting for a little bit of information on this survey beacon, playing away from his team, but they do have that TP down on the altar, so he'll be able to jump through that Void Nexus and rejoin without any worry here. So at the moment, just kind of watching the back, keeping things chill, giving some information to his teammates, and Hackett will be on his iPad in that drone, making sure that nobody is getting close to him.
Took me a little while to get my data up, but 19 altars, 18 cryptos. So it is going to be altar being banned, but very close, like you were alluding to. One of the two was going to disappear. 12 caustics, though. There is a surprising amount of caustics. I do think E-District plays best to caustics playstyle. If you think back to World's Edge and all of the buildings and being able to put those barrels down, I think E-District kind of allows for that as well. So that's why we're seeing quite a lot of caustic. But zone shift-wise, just moving a little bit further north, that helps some of the teams like Pixel, for example, who are already hunkering down on that northern side. It does change the rotation a little bit for the likes of Aurora and Zipline Mafia, because it means they can head on that northern side instead of forcing their way through on the east, which might make things a little bit easier for them, but they might end up in a choke as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see their move.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those zones. It kind of, I think it pulls down essentially into the wall, or just on the ramps just outside of City Hall and just below that bridge. And I think if you can play that bridge late, you pretty much put yourself in a position to win the game. But it's such a difficult spot to hold because there's so many angles and LOSs you have to be aware of. So I think it's about timing a fight. If you can see a couple of teams late on in that game who are fighting, you survive long enough to be the third party, even the fourth party, and then take that high ground, you're going to be in a really, really good spot to have an effect on that end game. At the moment, it's Aurora who are holding down the bridge right in the center, but you can already see just taking so much damage, and it's almost like I saw the future for a second here. Effect is down. Loren's trying to pop a battery, and he's going to have to cue his teammates down to try and get a reset here, but just look at the angles, look at the problems. It's not looking good for Aurora here, Dan.
Batten down the hatches! Sadly, Aurora down first. Our first team eliminated. I mean, actually, that's earlier than we've seen a team eliminated as of last week. I think we had 20 teams still alive in Zone 4, so at least we get a little bit more early action here in EMEA. GG also under a little bit of pressure at the moment, but looks like Zane is going to get recalled. Again, thanks to that altar portal. It's just so handy to be able to reset. Does it get followed? The likelihood is no. Now, in your ranked games, you probably follow a lot of altar portals, but here in ALGS, it's very difficult to do that because A, you potentially give up your position, and B, you might just be walking into a trap. The amount of times we've seen people go through portals and then get absolutely obliterated or one-clipped, it's just not fun. But don't worry, because Altar's going to be banned next game, there'll be no portals to reset people.
Well, Infinite, just taking a little bit of a different path here. It's interesting to see Aurora. That was a great example of what I was trying to talk about. You know, that spot towards the end game, fantastic. They were in. Right now, not good. It's very, very difficult to hold. You can just see that they just had no cover whatsoever to keep themselves safe. Infinite are going to be playing a very different game, almost the opposite to what Aurora were trying to play, bang center zone. They're just waiting for info. They're just taking their time, going to work their way towards zone, take some fights, probably in and around through City Hall, and see if that they can work their way in a little bit later. Hitting the map scan right now to see where everybody is going to be. And this is a team that I'm very, very interested to watch today, Dan. It has been a slow start for Citadel Gaming, who were one of the shining lights of EMEA last split.
They really were, and they were almost like our promised land. They were the next big thing, or at least we thought they were going to be, and that doesn't mean they can't be. They still could be that next big thing. But let's jump into listening with them and see what they think about this rotation.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have to walk
Yeah,
forward.
okay, let's go back.
Can we go back and fight them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back and fight them.
We're gonna get thirded. You see anything else that like is an obvious choice or something?
I mean, if we can
Yeah,
do
we
it
might
quick,
get
that team is waiting for the mythic. If we can do it quick,
Yeah, true.
can we time and make it together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just Valkyrie.
Maybe on the
They
red
left,
road.
no? That's
No,
not
no.
trail.
Make it now. Make it now.
I had to pop Ranger first. I think they Valkyrie. That was a purple trail. I think I saw
I
flying
didn't
in.
see. I did not see.
I'm making
I
it
see a
because
Valkyrie.
early. I saw trails coming
Yeah,
from like
wait,
this direction, like flying towards.
It
Fucking...
might be right in front.
Really?
Can you look?
Don't see. I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep to the right.
side. Yeah.
I'm good.
I'm good. Space in front.
Trying to get in front.
Yeah, I'm just getting in front
Yeah,
of
we're
it.
good,
I'm
we're
not healing it for the cross. Careful, we
Watch
need
your
to
back.
go back.
angles and
Yeah,
everything.
Get into
I'm selling right now.
Get him.
We need to fight behind. Get ready to queue out on them.
Are they
Yeah,
close?
yeah, I'm selling.
Not close. Out here.
Remember, they have mythic, so
Yeah, they
They're in the
might
shop
join.
northwest.
Let's get ready to queue on
he
them.
has
Okay?
combo.
Fuck the teams in front.
Yeah.
We need to just. Let's get ready to queue out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have to fight them regardless.
These
I
guys
mean,
have
if you
blue
see
okay?
them walking up, I think we queue through the wall and just insta kill them. They're not gonna expect us to queue through like straight away on them if they just walking up. Just keep trying high and watch them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like Citadel looking for the element of surprise here. Daniel Gaskin going to queue through and try and take the fight as quickly as possible and see if they can surprise the team and catch them off guard by flying through that wall.
Zone has shifted a little bit south as well in terms of where that circle was previously. So teams like Make EU Great Again, Vicious, Stay Healthy, HM, they're all going to be within that next zone and they're going to be sitting tight and pretty. It's sadly not going to be great news for those teams who were on the northern side. PXL, for example, they're going to have to move it a long way. Orgless and Hungry might struggle a little bit. Alliance are going to be able to hold the entire west side as well. So Alliance might pick up a good amount of KP here, actually.
Yeah, just to highlight to everyone who's watching at home at the moment, who's seeing maybe a little bit of stuttery gameplay, a little bit of an observer lag, it should sort itself out. The player's not affected right now, so don't panic about the gameplay being affected. That still is going on. Just where the zone is pulling, though, down, it is pulling down to the southern side of what we see right now. So it looks like a lot of teams who have banked on that northern rotate are going to have to fight their way through towards zone. One team is going to be in a really, really good place, position. Potentially is going to be Make EU Great Again, who held that building early, who won that fight early, but they do, surprise, surprise, actually have HM right next to them, who they took out and managed to get that reset. SJP2, though, in a little bit of a problem here. Denze's going to be left on his own.
It looks like it was a third party as well, though, so Denze is definitely hovering at the moment. There's still a chance that he could potentially stay alive here. The real question is, can you get away, get into that crypto drone, get some banners, and then maybe get the respawn as well? Can you nip on in? What's your drone skills like?
Don't mind me.
There we
Don't mind me,
go.
guys.
Easy drive-by. And now the respawn should happen as well, unless he gets picked off. Honestly, drone shooting skills are underrated, I would say, in this esport. You don't notice it as much, but when you are playing, if you've got a teammate who can hit their shots on the drone, it very much helps. Heavener do go down in 19th place, so down to 18 teams now.
Another team who's in a great spot, by the way, with the next zone pull is going to be the Vicious. They are bang center zone. We saw them earlier on, right in the bottom of one of those shops. And Citadel Gaming now on that northern side we were talking about, where it's a little bit congested, with a little bit of distance to travel, have to force their way forward here, and they're doing some good damage.
Yeah, lots of action in the kill feed at the moment. Matafe gets a knock, 7 gets taken down. You can see they're probably going to be able to get the res, you'd imagine. But Alliance now come on in. This is what I was saying about the western side. Alliance could pick up a lot of KP if they play this one correctly. Aku just trying to work with these portals at the moment. Has to be careful and does well to get out.
Yeah, Hack is just sitting here, by the way, on the portal, on the Void Nexus, as if anything happens to his teammates, he can drag them back and cause some problems and get them back on their feet. And Hack is now, he's looking to pull unlucky, but Aku has been finished. So the idea is good, but unfortunately, it looks like Alliance are going to have to look for a reset of their own. Blessed have been eliminated in the meantime, one of the teams to fall in that northern building. So everybody else kind of just taking damage, taking a couple of players falling on their team, and nobody really surviving in a healthy looking way on that western side of the zone. FUL inside of this building, they've got Zipline Mafia, Citadel Gaming right next to them, and Citadel are looking to third if anything breaks out between these two teams.
That really does just capitalize Alliance playstyle sometimes. Hacky sits back, sends in the dogs, and then he's going to recall them when he gets the chance. Sadly, they get punished. Anyway, now we're going to see Beamsy's able to get the beams, and it looks like Zipline Mafia struggling a little bit in this engagement.
Thought I was going to take the time to push the battery, but unfortunately for him, Citadel Gaming, they hear it. They were waiting in the wings for a third-party opportunity to break out. Courage is trying to survive right now, but there's nades, there's shots, and there's that alternator in the kill feed, picking up a lot of damage, and now FUL down to 1. Beamsy has to try and scupper away here and pretend that he's a vending machine, and in the meantime, he's not going to fall for that one. Remix Powers flies in alongside Zuni and Kaisha, and Citadel Gaming will win the battle of that northern side.
Pretending he's a vending machine is an interesting one. We've all done it, but no snacks coming out of it. Citadel now struggling a little bit on their rotation, but they might be able to hide in this corner, but no, they're going to get pushed. The aggression is going to come through. Orgless and Hungry eliminated, down to now 12 squads, as Remix Powers is going to have to use the shield here just to try and stay alive, but I'm not sure it's going to be a pretty one. It's always mental, by the way, this first game with this amount of void passages. It's so hard to keep up with some of these players.
Yeah, I genuinely have no idea where I'm getting pushed from and what is going on in some of these moments. There's just so many void passages, like you say, players flying through walls. You're not quite sure what team it is. Citadel are gone. Alliance fell a few moments ago as well. Lots of teams falling as the zone starts to close. And that northern side is a problem. Pixel Lumina are going to be out next. GG will follow almost immediately. And it's the Horde who now take control of this bridge. Stay healthy below them, but they are not healthy by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of damage done and already a knock in the feed.
Horde being patient though, 23 seconds before they have to move, and this Clxver can certainly make a big difference as well. They really want to try and wrap around them, but the trouble is they're being held out at the moment with a lot of utility. All those grenades being used to good effect, but they're going to run out eventually, and now the push comes.
Yeah, now it's a 2v2 though, all of a sudden. Although damage has been done, Kazak's got a clutch and manages to do so. No players finished off as well. The Horde should be able to reset here, but the zone closing behind them. Stay healthy will fall as we find ourselves now with 7 teams alive in the lobby, and Make EU Great Again have found a little corner to themselves.
A team that's gone under the radar a little bit is PRYANIK. In the western side, they've been able to survive for quite some time and now find themselves in a pretty good spot with the portal to use as well. But Vicious and NOVO are both going to be kind of within this building area, one of the few building areas within this final circle. So you can see why they're trying to stay alive at the moment, because as soon as that circle closes, all the other teams are going to stop looking at them and start looking at each other as they make their move in.
NOVO looking at third party. Through the void passage, got to be careful, Slab, looking for an opportunity to create something for his team. HM will be eliminated in the meantime, and NOVO Esports now have to send it and look for a reset themselves. HM dealt with 6 squads remaining. One thing to highlight, by the way, is Infinite. We saw them right on the edge of zone earlier on. Well, now they are bang center of it. So they have made a fantastic rotation in towards where this endgame is going to be.
Well, here come some bombardments, as now we have, what, 6 squads left going into this final circle. Everyone trying to stay healthy, but a lot of teams struggling. And PRYANIK, as I was saying, they were in a good spot, but they've got caught out by the Horde on the push. Vicious get eliminated as well. Look at the amount of kills on the Horde at the moment. Just 8 for Kazakh in general, and they might be able to reset to a 2. Of course, Hardeki has gone down, but potential for a banner grab maybe, as the other teams are going to be kind of fighting each other at the moment. You can see this ongoing battle between NOVO and Vicious finally was concluded.
NOVO do get the full reset as well. That damage is very satisfying for me to look at here for Slab. All of the ones. 1-1-1-1. He's gonna have to get a little bit more if he wants to take NOVO Esports through to a game 1 win here. Make EU Great Again are the team with the most space in this zone though, Dan. They are really spread out on that northern side, that northeastern side. Down on the low ground, you can see that they did get a full reset here, the Horde. They did manage to get Hardeki back in. Shout out to a little Moby being available for them. And Kazakh has pushed up as well. So they're trying to command a little bit more space. They need to move here, because otherwise they're just going to get trapped in that corner and they'll be so vulnerable to any utility coming their way.
Look at this spot from Nate, though. He's trying to hold them out single-handedly. Does have to be careful. If he gets 3-man pushed here, then they could find themselves in a very difficult position. But at the moment, Make EU Great Again in one of the best spots, and Nate is in prime position to just rain down damage here.
Yeah, Infinite trying to push onto them. NOVO having a little look at this as well, and it looked like Zidane managed to find one knock, but he got taken down as well. So a little bit of an exchange of fire, and now Slab has seen an opportunity maybe to swing onto Make EU Great Again, and NOVO Esports kind of propelled by that swing from Slab. Now see the opportunity to go forward, but Nate will answer back.
All the meanwhile, on the other side, Infinite maybe are going to be able to reset here. Two teams that were fighting before in that bubble, both reset, and then we get NOVO versus Make. EU Great again. EU Great again win it, but now they'll be taken down most likely. You can see they're trying to get the res, but the other two teams can now press up.
Overflow here for Nasky means one cell should be enough to give him an opportunity. It looks like they want to try and play for second. They're going to fly in here, but they're not going to be able to do so. And now Infinite against the Horde. It's a simple job for them to close things out. Infinite with a fantastic game number 1 performance here on E-District from the edge of zone to Bang Center to finish it up in first place.
Yeah, that is a fantastic performance from Infinite, a team that was kind of one of those bubble teams that we were talking about as well. Actually, a few of our bubble teams performed well in the first game. We were talking about the Horde needing some extra points as well, and they were absolutely racking up those kills on set. It was very impressive to watch. I think Kazakh had like 8 just to himself when we looked initially. I think points-wise, it's going to be pretty similar to those two teams. Of course, the win will give those extra points to them, but certainly impressive start from the Horde as well.
Yeah, very, some of the big names that we expect to be in this lobby, you know, performing in the big moments of that game. Making You Great again had a real opportunity. I think they were probably a little frustrated that NOVO took that opportunity and got that first knock. A little bit of an overextension to just put them in a position where everyone's looking at it, seeing the kill feed and thinking, hey, the team with the most space in the zone, all of a sudden they've lost a player. We can make our plays off the back of this. So maybe a little bit of frustration, but when you look back at maybe the overall points total from the game, you're not going to be too disappointed in it. But it's Infinite who really have the biggest story here. It's 21 points with the 9 KP. The Horde and Make EU Great again in behind them with 19 apiece.
Oh, I think the interesting thing that happened, the Horde were fighting Infinite. Both teams kind of had the opportunity to reset because NOVO took that chance, Lauren, where they were able to push around and take advantage of EU Great again, kind of focusing on those bubble teams and kind of caught them off guard a little bit.
I really like what we saw, like you guys were saying, out of a lot of those teams that are closer to the bubble, starting off today with a really strong match. Because if we look back at what we saw last time this teams faced off, it was Aurora who came out on top at the end of it all, and they were the first team to go out. One of the top teams in the region. Slow start opens up the gates for everybody else. But somebody that did want to talk about some of the top teams in the region is Jayhawk. So we're bringing him in. He's coming in. Jayhawk now. Welcome back.
Guys,
Excited to have you here.
I'm glad to be back. Listen, I do want to shout out Infinite here because Zidane was not very happy about a week ago about some things that were said on this broadcast in an interview. He was throwing some tweets out there on social media. Some people were saying some shots that they weren't taking practice seriously. And it seems like it locked those boys in because, I mean, they came out with that big dub right there.
They did. They did. And I know that you have been very busy this week. But we had to steal your time for a little bit today because last time I spoke to you about coming back on the show, you were like, I really want to come on if I can talk about Alliance. And that's exactly what we get to do here today. So we're going to start things off with this tweet that they put out for the boot camp because there's a lot going on in this tweet alone, Jay. We got to talk about it.
I mean, listen, Alliance, this org, they know how to do things right. We've brought in a new young player, so let's get straight into the boot camp and build some of that chemistry. There's been some slander, I feel like, about Alliance. Dan even opening up the show saying that he thinks they got worse as a team. But I don't think people remember that Alliance are the one who made this roster decision. They're the ones who said, we're going to part ways with Effect, and we're bringing Aku in, and he's going to be the guy that takes us to that next level, because ultimately, it did feel like, at least in the ALGS tournaments, they had kind of seemingly hit a cap. They seemed like they couldn't get it over that finish line ever since 2024, and so now, can Aku be the difference maker? I think he can. I think a lot of people seem to be doubting him and think that this team is not as good as they used to be, but I remember when Unlucky got brought in, there was some similar sentiments, so I trust the Alliance, the people behind the scenes when it comes to the scouting department.
Right, I said temporarily. All right,
Okay,
they are temporarily worse. That's what I said.
Temporarily.
He did.
Temporarily.
And I will stick with that because, yes, right now they are not performing as well as they were with Effect, and that's to be expected when you make a change. It's always going to take a little bit of time. Like I said, I think the skill ceiling might be a little bit higher, but right now I would still take Effect personally. But maybe I will be made to eat my words, and gladly, because I'm a big fan of this roster, Jay.
Listen, I believe in Effect. That guy's incredible. I'm not going to doubt him by any means, and I will probably agree that as of right now, he is absolutely the better player compared to Aku. But at the end of the day, this is a team esport, and I think that Alliance, when they get that chemistry, especially post boot camp, they will be in full force. And also 2 weeks ago they dropped a 30-point game, so I feel like they've already got the firepower anyway.
True.
Yeah, I think with Alliance at the moment, when you're looking at them, Jay, I'm not sure if you sort of see a similar pattern. It feels like you're starting to see maybe what the heights can be, but it's just finding the consistency they're really struggling with. And I think it was difficult to watch the first few weeks of scrims with them because it felt like the chemistry was like so far away. And I think that's what worried people the most. Do you feel it's starting to come together like piece by piece, day by day for the team at the moment?
I do. I think Aku is in a really tough position coming into this team initially because he's having to play such an aggressive opening role, being the character, the Wraiths, the Altars, the one who is able to move his team across the map. It requires a lot of trust from Hawkus when he's playing that crypto to allow Aku to be able to make those decisions. And we know that Effect was really strong at them because obviously Unlucky, he's so flexible, he can play anything. So you want Aku to be in the position where he's able to create all those openings. But the teams that he was on previously, those were zone teams, and I feel like that's just a completely different tempo, a completely different pace than what Alliance wants to bring. They want to be super aggressive and get in the action, so I feel like that requires a lot of limit testing from Aku specifically of what he can get away with and what his teammates will allow for him to do.
I think what was interesting as well is when you look at that first game, you saw the attempt from Hawkus was waiting on the altar portal, was waiting to bring both of them back, and there was a moment of hesitation. One of the boys got knocked, I can't remember who got knocked first, and he was about to pull them back, but then he didn't because he was like, oh, I need both of them to go down here so I can pull both back at the same time. That moment of hesitation meant one got full killed, and then sadly they found themselves as a duo, and then it just kind of fell apart. But I do think that when Hawkus can get that timing right, he can send his dogs in, bring them back, this team is going to be very scary to play against, as they always are.
Yeah, I do want to point out too, they're cooking right now in some of the comps. I've not been a big fan of the fuse changes as a day one fuse believer. I missed that Ring of Fire. It was just one of my favorite abilities, but they were playing fuse game one there. I'm not entirely sure what they're thinking in terms of that, but it might be because of E-District, all those walls, using that ultimate to penetrate through. So they're still cooking. They're in the lab.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I think historically people forget that Alliance, in my opinion, were always the team across the globe that would push something new. They would always be willing to try something new, whether it would be Pathfinder, for example, is something that jumps out to me a couple of splits ago, where everyone was like, why are they running Pathfinder? And then, hey, lo and behold, a month later, everyone's starting to run Pathfinder. And it always seems like Hawkus is sort of sat there going, okay, this is what I'm expecting. How do we get ahead of that? And you've got to give him a huge amount of credit for being not only like able to see those patterns, but also it's such a risk to take, and especially in a match day, to do that, to change up what you're playing and go against what seems to be the grain and is expected in a composition.
Yeah, I do think it's actually super interesting just in terms of like theory crafting with the fuse. In these early games, obviously you don't have like a lot of the Newcastle being played yet, which I think would be a pretty direct counter to fuse, but you've got a lot of caustic. And so teams are like bunkering down in these areas where it's really difficult to push. Throw in some knuckle clusters, put that ultimate in there, and then all of a sudden, what are they going to do? The caustic's not going to be able to protect them from all that.
All right, so we got to see their stats before we let you go on obviously just the first match of the day, not indicative of what they will do for their overall performance in the series. But how are you feeling like they are, now that they've seemed to find a little bit of a rhythm, especially after we got to see some of their highlights, when they are doing well? Where do you think they're shaking out in the region? Are they still the best in the region, or now is it genuinely a dogfight between them and Aurora? Like, how do you think that they're kind of looking right now?
I do feel like the region feels a little more up for grabs than it probably did any of the previous years, but I don't actually think, in my opinion, that's because Alliance has gotten worse. I think there's other teams in the region that I expect to get better. I think this Aurora team is an absolute powerhouse. I'm so excited. You guys were talking about Hierarcha and that hot take about there's no other good IGLs in the region, and how, I mean, let's not forget the guys won a world championship. I think this duo, though, of Oi, Rain, and Effect is the most firepower he's ever had for teammates. And so a world champion IGL with those two dogs on his side, I think that team's incredible. I expect Bandits to continue to get even better. They were our highest placing team at this past year's championship from the region, and I feel like a lot of people forget that. Light, go back to year 4 when he had that incredible run with 3 top 10 performances in a row. So I think there's a lot of other teams in this region that can elevate to the level that Alliance has been holding. And yeah, sure, maybe right now Alliance isn't at the top standard like they were with Effect consistently week in and week out. But I think at some point when Aku gets fully acclimated, they'll reach that.
I also think that Alliance are in a position right now where they are comfortable to experiment as well, because Alliance know that they are good enough to get to regional finals. They are good enough to get to LAN, and they can do it whilst experimenting. It's similar to when we were talking about Americas, we talk about Falcons like underperforming, but even Falcons at the mid, they were still finding themselves in the mid-table. I think that's similar with Alliance. Even at Alliance's worst, it's still good enough to kind of succeed. So I'm very excited to see with this experimentation kind of where they go here, Glitter.
I agree. I think that, you know, we've been looking for more players to step up to the plate as far as contenders go for making this region a scary region for the other regions to be dealing with. We'll have to see who is able to step up to the plate for the rest of the day. Jayhawk, you did so well last time. We're keeping you around this time as well. We're going to do a little bit of a try-cast here to kick off game number 2.
No way!
Because why not? Why not?
Get Jayhawk.
We're having too much fun, right?
Let's
so
go.
You're stuck with us now, Jay. I'm going to pass it off to the guys. Have a good time.
Hello, I am one of the guys. Let's go, everybody. Match number 2 is ready to go. Jay, let's get you a quick takeaway from match number 1, though, because as we see Ultraban going into our match 2, Infinite, probably one of the teams who had to arrive latest to that zone, but did such a good job of getting center zone somehow amongst all of the carnage that was happening around them.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like E District, it's just, obviously we all know it's Alter's playground, so I am sad to see her go. I'm also a little sad that Crypto is still going to be in action. I love when we go to the Americas and he gets banned immediately in game 1. So with Crypto still on the table, I don't expect too much of a difference in terms of the legend comps. I'm not thinking that we're going to see the Gibbies and the Watsons and all that stuff brought out yet, but I'm still excited for this game too, because man, E District, it's just the best map we have, guys. It really is.
Is that another hot take? You agree, Dan, don't you? It's your favorite map, right?
I think it is my favorite map that we have in rotation at the moment. I personally would like more World's Edge, but you know, I'm a traditionalist.
Agreed.
But I do think E District just has a little bit of everything at the moment. Kind of some of the best features from other maps features in E District, which just creates a really good viewing experience. Unless there's an altar on the map, but thank goodness she's gone, because now we don't have to have void passages every single wall available, and we can actually see what's happening. What was interesting from that game 1 as well, I was mentioning the best POI and the worst POI statistically in scrims. Neither of them performed in that game when the zone pulled that way. So it does suggest that if you are a City Hall player, you probably want it to be pulling away from you. If you're a Bulwark player, you also want to be it pulling away from you rather than coming your way as well. Sometimes when the zone does come to your POI, you struggle a little bit because people get there faster, you can't loot, you can't evo, and you find yourself under-looted, under-equipped, and getting bombarded by other teams who have far more equipment than you do.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here, Jay, as we jump into game number 2 here and kind of focus on PRYANIK, because they've been a team who have kind of been hovering in and around some good moments and some good performances as we take a look at them dropping here onto the map. And I also want to kind of get your thoughts on something that Dan was kind of alluding to there, which is I feel like we're getting to a point in Apex at the moment, and I contribute this personally to some of the power that's in the purple perks that we are seeing in some of these legends available, where it feels like almost if zone comes to you, it's almost like, okay, like how do we get to purple? How do we fight these teams arriving later with purple and the perks that they have to go alongside it?
Yeah, it's become incredibly difficult. I feel like, especially in terms of being able to get a lot of the loot, you know, you talked about how you don't love how powerful some of these amps are as well. When that zone's coming to you, you don't have any ability to like secondhand loot somebody else's POI or scrap loot some of the surrounding little no-name buildings around your POI. Once those teams start coming in, you've got to find your power position quickly, especially in E District where there's just so many playable spots. You don't want to be caught out because it can be very difficult to eventually rotate out and find a place to reset, considering how many teams are going to be in your area super fast. So yeah, honestly, I feel like E District, especially with how many playable spots there are, it's almost more beneficial to be one of those POIs that's kind of in the surrounding area, but not directly on the end zone.
Well, PRYANIK on our screen right now. We actually had an opportunity to quickly catch up with their coach. So let's see what he had to say ahead of this match day.
They are 3 of the most confident players I know, for sure. They believe in their ability 100%, and it shows in their gameplay as well. And they are hyper aggressive on game day extremely confidently. Now, I don't think I can say that about any of the other teams. I'm sure that they feel like they have that confidence, but these guys consistently shoot nukes
They shoot nukes down. What do you make of that?
I mean, they have the firepower. We've seen them. When PRYANIK are playing at their very best, they are absolutely incredible, very good at positioning themselves in the late game as well. We even saw in the previous game, they were in a good spot. Sadly, they got full sent on, and they weren't really expecting it. Again, we can attain that down to alter. Sometimes you put yourself in a good position, and then suddenly there's a portal coming through, and you can do very little about it if you get caught off guard. So now with alter gone, perhaps they will find themselves in a better spot and be able to play this late game in the way they would prefer to play a late game.
It's always nice as a team, I feel, to know that walls are doing their job and just existing and stopping other teams and projectiles coming your way. Anyway, let's take a look at this zone. We're going down to the southwest of the map by the looks of things here. Jay, Street Market, just outside of it. Not a lot of end zones in Street Market, but where Citadel Gaming find themselves right now. Pretty good spot potentially for where this endgame could be.
Yeah, there's one of those Zipline buildings that has the 5 stories right on the outside. So I expect a lot of teams to pack in there. It's going to be a very chaotic end zone as all the teams do get there. But at the same time, I feel like because of so much of Street Market not being eligible for end zones with all those different layers inside of the market itself, I feel like there's not a ton of actual playable space for this. So I think the Ring 4, Ring 5 transitions are going to be really aggressive in this game.
Well, let's see Orgless and Hungry on our screens right now as they are on the receiving end of a little bit of damage by the looks of things. There's Heaven icon on our screen, a couple of barrels trying to be popped, and a lot of damage actually being done by those caustic barrels. So Heaven are going to take a little bit of time here. They do get that first knock, so they can take us just a second to reset here, but it's a little bit of an ugly fight, this one. Not quite going as smoothly as you wanted, and that is exactly what caustic does, Dan.
Yeah, we've got a lot of them in the lobby as well. 16 caustics. Not going to be banned, though, because we have 17 cryptos. So just pipped at the final finish line again. 15 wraiths as well. The most common composition, caustic, crypto, wraith. We've got 12 of them. But interestingly, we do have 2 fuses. Remember what Jay was talking about earlier with that direct potential counter from fuses coming in. Stay healthy, just trying to stay alive and stay healthy at this point. But I think it's going to come to an end soon.
This looks like it might be a 1v1 momentarily. You saw Chaotic. He did a beautiful little shoulder peek and just managed to, for the first time ever, I will say, avoid a Maggie Ball, because regardless of what I do, Jay, and I'm sure you feel the same, when the Maggie Balls come in my way, it finds a way to connect.
It feels like a heat-seeking missile when you're in the game.
Right? It's pretty horrible, but Guts is trying to escape right now on the Wraith, manages to just about do so, but this is a kind of a symptom of what you were talking about, Jay, with the lack of playable space. Everyone is trying to steal those spots off each other early that they will believe will be a god spot.
Yeah, and this is the scary part, too, when you're having to be one of those teams that needs to reset, because you can see there's already so many teams trying to make their way in from this northern side. But I also imagine a little bit later here, we're going to see teams coming in from the southeast. And so we just saw Guts right there as the Wraith. Where does he go? He's going to have to go towards Viaduct for the Crafter, but that's where squads are going to be rotating in from.
Well, GG are going to have to leave, and they are going to have to counter-rotate away from where they wanted to be towards a little bit of Evo and getting Blast and Lufka back into the game. And Dan, there's nothing more frustrating, I feel like, if you're early game and you get a good spot, knowing that it's going to be assaulted numerous times, it's like, it's frustrating because you can deal with 1 or 2 teams, but if one team decides, hey, we want to take God spot early, we want to take it off you, we're going to fight you, that just seems to start a chain reaction of teams thinking, hey, we can third this for God spot, hey, we can third this, fourth this for God spot, and all of a sudden, it's kind of the first team that causes this horrible kind of cascade effect of everyone fighting and no one really succeeding.
And that leads into a point I was going to make as well. When you looked at the 2 teams where Zone came towards them in the previous, I was saying about, you know, best POI, worst POI. We had PT, we had Alliance. Both those teams were running Fuse. You don't really want the Zone coming to you if you are running that Fuse and you are purposely trying to counter the caustic teams. Now both those Fuses are away from Zone. We might see the Fuse come into action and be able to bombard those teams that are going to be hunkering down in those buildings. And again, to your point, it's going to be frustrating for some of those squads who have been able to find a position, but then suddenly they're going to be assaulted over and over again, not just by 1 fuse, but multiple fuses as teams move in. As you can already see, Potassium have started to move down. Alliance are a little bit further out still, but those are the 2 fuse teams to keep an eye on here.
And one point I want to make here, Jay, and get your thoughts on is the position that Aurora have chosen to play here. Down on those shops on the street market side, they will be safe, and I think it's a really smart place to play, just on that kind of western edge of the zone, compared to everyone else who's going to have to come across the map from that eastern or northern side. They can avoid a lot of damage. There's barely any lines of sight, excuse me, they have to worry about, and they can just bunker down with that caustic and just wait for the end game.
Yeah, it should get them pretty deep into this game, and I feel like a lot of the early fighting is going to be happening over on that height. So like you said, they get to avoid all of that. But I think in that late game, it's actually going to set them up pretty well for like a lot of late KP, especially with the comp that they're running. Obviously, they're kind of running the mirror comp that everybody else is, but being able to use that crypto EMP super late, as I feel like everybody on the south finally starts to get congested and pushed in with the firepower that they have between Oirain and Effect, I think this could be actually a pretty huge game for Aurora.
Well, just before we let you go, Jay, we're going to have to get your prediction for who's winning match number 2.
I'm gonna go with Aurora. I actually really do like that spot, and I feel like I said, this is setting them up to get pretty deep into ring 4 or 5, obviously depending on when they finally get pushed out of Street Market. So I'm gonna say that Aurora is able to take this one.
Well, it's a big call, but it's a safe call. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. Great job, as always. Great to hear from you,
Thanks,
brother.
Jay.
And we'll let you go, and we'll focus our attention back into this game. Dan, as we see Orgless and Hungry on our screen, trying to hold down this spot just to the northern side of Street Market.
I kind of miss Jayhawk already, I'm going to be honest.
Lovely dude. Great haircut.
Do you notice how tanned he was? New haircut as well.
Dude, I'm telling you,
fantastic.
is everyone like an onset fanboy or something all of a sudden? Like, everyone's shaving their
Do you think I should?
heads. Yeah.
Should I shave my... I'm not sure I could pull it off like you and Jayhawk. I'm going to be honest.
I think you could. Like, Watsy's doing it. How did it back in the day? Guys.
Maybe we'll test it out, but maybe not. I quite like my long luscious
I'll sign
hair.
some shirts at the next event. It's all good, don't worry. I hate myself.
Sign it with
so much
shaving
saying
foam.
that.
Infinite second place at the moment, moving over. They have the Gibby as well. We did see a few Gibbies in the previous. PRYANIK are going to be under a little bit of stress, so they're going to have to back off as well. But they're in one of those spots where they don't really need to be pushing the limit at the moment. But this is, again, what you were talking about. If you are a team who are in zone, how do you get your Evo up? Well, sometimes it is about being brave, sending someone out, doing a little bit of work on that damage as well, and maybe trying to pick up a few little bit and extras if you can get a death box for the rest of your team. Sometimes it can be a little bit dangerous, but when we have so many wraiths, the portal can certainly play a huge factor to it.
Well, unlucky. And the rest of Alliance are moving into a position that was previously held by Aurora. They know they are there, and they still have Unlucky on the fuse. And you can see that fuse ult has gone in. So now they're looking to play off of this. And Aurora a little bit split at the moment. There's 2 players down on the low ground, and one is separated. Up on that height, and I think Alliance are kind of smelling this opportunity and trying desperately to take it. It's always fun to watch these 2 teams fight, Dan, and we might be able to see it now.
Might just see them both go at it.
Aku,
No, Aku goes down, but it's Effect who gets it. But there is the trade. Hackers gets it, so it's going to be a 2v2 now.
Maybe looking for the reset. Probably the smarter idea for both teams here. Just let bygones be bygones. Say, nice job, everybody. Well, let's just reset and maybe let's try this again in a little bit of time. Nate, by the way, just overextending by the looks of things from Make EU great again. I'm not sure if he's left himself in a little bit of a situation where he can't escape. He should be safe enough for now. When you're looking at armor advantage, though, you're looking at Alliance being the favorites here, Dan.
Should be, especially after that reset, and you can see how weak Effect is at the moment. So they were the first one to get someone up. If they wanted to push, they would have that advantage, but maybe there's some respect from both teams where they just back off a little bit and they will reset because they do both find themselves in the zone. It's not a fight they necessarily have to take. It was almost one of those, like, beat your chests kind of moments of, you know what, we will take this position. Oh, no, wait, okay, it's a good team. Maybe we'll just let them live for now. Speaking of living, Beamsy trying to beam, and he does, gets blasts.
If you get that first knock, and that's going to be GG on the receiving end of it. Zane is trying to answer back. Kuro's just holding the line here, and he's going to throw a beautiful caustic ult towards that high ground, force the last 2 remaining players down. Zane, he gets clipped, and then all of a sudden, GG just get run over. FUL with a beautiful team fight there. Everybody contributing in exactly the way you want them to.
Yeah, that's going to be frustrating for GG, though. One of those ones where you would like to take that fight from a different angle, from a different position. And hindsight is always going to be one of those things where you look back and said, well, if we hadn't pushed around this corner, perhaps we could have engaged better. But that's where you live and you learn. As now a couple of teams start to use that caustic ultimate. Look at Alliance's health, by the way. They've been griefed so badly. Hack is still alive. Maybe he can get the rest of the squad up.
Yeah, let's make EU great again, who are being a big contributing nuisance factor to this. Pixel Lumina in front of them as well. Trix taking some damage, and it's the overextension on the portal from Nate, trying to see if he can pick up some KP. He's already found 4 of them, by the way. He's almost got 2k damage already in this game, Nate. So whatever you had for breakfast is certainly going to be on the menu for a lot of other players next week if he continues with this form.
At this point, it might be lunch, if not dinner. You know, you got to make sure you're well equipped and you're well fed going into these matches, as Alliance will get unlucky back up. So Hackers has done his job, and maybe Alliance still going to live to fight here in this final zone, because it's getting very congested here in the middle. As we take a look at the current standings, of course, from that first match into this match, Mega still first place, 25 points at the moment, as Unlucky arrives, but Unlucky eliminated as soon as he dropped. Nate was there and waiting with a net.
Yeah, Nate is having a game and a half here. Let me tell you that. That's going to be him crossing the 2k damage barrier very, very comfortably on the southern side of zone. You've got Bless now moving their way through viaducts, trying to force their way in towards this zone. They do have a survey beacon available here as well if they want to take it. It's Infinite who are trying to hold them out at the moment, but Bless do have that first knock onto Querney. But it looks like the escape has happened. The Wraith Portal went down, and that dome is a problem to try and follow through. And it's frustrating to play against sometimes. It's a great escape tool if you do have that Wraith in the composition.
The zone is going more central, by the way. I think that's probably what to be expected here, but all those teams are just going to get closer and closer, as Blessed potentially going to try and chase down what it looks like the last remaining player of a squad, I would have thought, as Inf will be eliminated. So Infinite go down, 15 squads now remain. And we'll have to see if from that position they can actually work their way in, because SJP2 are kind of hovering, or at least a single player from SJP2 was hovering around as well, seeing if they could pick up any pieces. But I think they'll be, sadly, realizing that there is not any pieces to pick up, because that was easy wipe.
Yeah, SJP2 down to a solo as well, so I think that the last player was trying to just sneak past into Viaduct and hit that crafter to see if they can get the banners back and maybe get a res. Blessed are trying to chase them down. They're in the drone. Elsewhere, FUL on your screens right now. This is FUL versus Potassium. This is over at draft point. And already we've seen very, very good team cohesion in a fight from FUL, so they're going to feel confident in this one.
Breach charge. Bambino gets a little bit of a hit, but remember, Bambino, one of those other teams who are going to play, he's been playing the Fuse, excuse me, so maybe he can just start to breach charge back himself, or just knuckle cluster a few times as well, just to show who is boss. As I say that, though, Sweepy's going to go down, so now FUL are going to start to push this one.
FUL looking to just collapse upon the KP that's in front of them. A couple of nice longbow shots coming out from orbit will be good enough to finish off that down, and as the last two players do scarper away, it's actually good information here for Node as well, as they will drop the evac. Those two players surviving means there's probably a little bit of space for them to play. However, Potassium are finding that it is a little bit more uncomfortable than maybe they would want. They aren't safe here. Aski's desperately trying to pop a few cells, excuse me, to get himself up to full health, and in the meantime, FUL are falling from the skies and are trying to find a place bang in the center of zone. Potassium just trying to survive for now.
Surviving is just the aim of the game, with 14 squads left going into this next zone as well, because there's not going to be much playable space to work with. Citadel, I really like the building they find themselves in. Node down to just one, and it's Make EU Great again, also doing damage here, but now they're going to be pressed, and this is where Naski needs to stay alive, because he might be their last chance if Kinda does go down, but it looks like the Caustic will be able to stick it here and hold his ground.
Yeah, should be able to look for the res here. Kinda's just going to throw his Caustic out to make sure that nobody can push without him knowing and taking a little bit of damage. Should be able to get the reset pretty comfortably, so a really good hold actually. But look at Sampace trying to fly in to find a spot to play. That little hut might be their next move, as Novo Esports will be eliminated. 13 squads now remain in the lobby, as Blessed find themselves down to 2. They've lost Artico, so it's up to Sanya and Max Strafey to see if they can get him back in or fight as a duo.
I mean, they should be able to with the Caustic. It just depends whether they get pressed here, because the Horde are definitely hovering and looking to see if they can take the fight. One member of Horde is within the building, by the way, waiting, and probably a Wraith Portal to get them back, and yes, it looks like that is the case. So Horde were just looking to see if they could pick up any extra KP, apply some pressure as well, but Make EU Great again will respawn Nate. So a lot of these teams getting back up, and again, this is the beauty of having Crypto on the map, right? You do get these respawns a lot easier. Without Crypto, some of these wouldn't have even happened, Mark.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reset ability of Crypto, second to none. Just being able to grab those banners, get your players back in by not having to extend and really cost you your life, as the Vicious are now moving in, and they will have to move in. 8 seconds left on this zone, and they need to take a fight to find somewhere safe to play here. 30 enemies being scanned, and you being stunned as you try and jump into the void will slow you down just a little bit. So MG Clutch is going to have a little bit more of a difficult time in finding that spot for the rest of his team to get into, but find a spot he does, but it's very busy.
Oh,
Busy with
Yeah, a lot
grenades,
of
busy with caustic gas. It is busy to say the least.
you portal in and you're like, don't take it, don't take it. Oh, but now some good damage from Citadel, who have found a spot. They have been able to find somewhere to call home. They take down 2 members, and now they're going to be able to really lock down this spot and potentially pick up KP. Look at the amount of kills Citadel are putting on the board right now and closing in on 3k damage for Zuni.
Yeah, Pixel Lumina eliminated in the meantime, and we're now seeing Max Strafe and Crow trying to move in. Orgless and Hungry and Zipline. Mafia will be the next out of the lobby. That little hut is a death pit for anyone who dares to step into it. And it looks like Citadel are having that game, but there's a couple of players still alive. One of them is kind of down on his knees. Nasky is last surviving on his feet. He's going to hit an EMP now and maybe just try and survive inside of that zone. But for Citadel, what an important moment this could be down.
8 squads going into the last zone. Nasky can't get round the corner as well, so Zuni will clean up the last remaining pieces. Up to 10 kills now for Citadel Gaming, and they are flying. Just so much confidence. That car is shredding through them at the moment. They are fearless. Up to 11 kills now. 6 squads remaining as they clean out the fluff, and things will now calm down a little bit before we get into this final close. You can see one team under a little bit of pressure from the nades coming out from the likes of Aurora. Somehow, someway, Mark, Aurora and Alliance have survived all of this confrontation and are now going to be playing in this final zone.
Yeah, they just managed to reset consistently down on this low ground, and you can see why they wanted to play these spots. Everyone else takes care of each other, thinking that they've got to fly in, they've got to fight into those buildings right in the center of zone, but nobody can fly into these buildings, especially when you've got that cover from above and just those limited entrances. The MPs are now going to start to go off on the other side of the zone where the action has been taking place, and PRYANIK here in front of you right now. They're trying to survive. Kirsty's taking some damage on the caustic, trying to throw a few barrels down to make sure that his teammates are going to be able to reset those meds, but his teammate's so low here, he's going to put out some damage here.
Putting out the damage. One's gone down, though. Actually, a lot of responsibility goes to the Wraith because you're the one who can queue out and maybe get a couple of extra points through position. But now as the caustic, you're just going to be such a target. EMP goes through, though. Of course, all those caustic barrels going to be absolutely blasted away. Now Wrecking Ball comes through as Zuni continues his moment of domination here.
I mean, Zuni's taking over in this game. He's got 11 KP, Zuni, at the moment. He is absolutely frying at the moment, and he said he was thinking about changing over to controller. Well, I'm not so sure about it if you're putting in performances like this. Alliance just been eliminated. The Vicious down to 2. They've been EMP'd as well, and the Vicious now trying to hold off Zuni. They're not going to be able to. Kaicha picks him up. Citadel are dropping an absolute nuke in this game. They have 18 combined kills in this game.
4,000 damage for Zuni as well, and it looks like they are not slowing down. But are they going to be able to get the win? Aurora and Horde are fighting. Surely this should be a comfortable one.
I mean,
my goodness.
They are taking the lobby apart at the moment. Citadel Gaming, questions asked, and questions are being answered. One player alive, it's just an extra KP. Kazak, come here, buddy. Wrap yourself up, call yourself a present. Citadel Gaming destroy the lobby here in game number 2.
I mean, we haven't seen a performance like that from an EMEA team in quite some time. 23 kills for Citadel Gaming plus the win. It's a 35-point game. We were mentioning at the top of the show, all you need is one big game and you should be at the top of the leaderboard. With how it's been difficult to find consistency, that is more than just a big game, right? We talk about those mammoth games, you talk about the nukes that you can have. I mean, Zuni has just put close to, what, 5k damage, I think, on the board. The rest of the team up there with 3k as well. Unbelievable performance from them, especially when they needed it. We were talking about a team that were down in the slumps, that were struggling a little bit. This is going to be the perfect confidence booster for them.
I'm hearing in my ears that is a damage record for the region as well, with 4.5 something K damage. We'll double check the stat, but the most important one is it is a damage dealt record in one game coming in for Zuni. 23 KP. In that win means 35 points for Citadel. This is what EMEA has been waiting for. This is what these 3 players have expected from themselves, and that is a monster performance from them.
I mean, when you look at someone like the scrim results as of late, people were totaling around 49, 48 points, and I think Citadel are going to be close to that after 2 matches. So they're going to be putting themselves in such an advantageous position here going into the next 4 games, where they just need to kind of toddle along, put a few points on the board each time, and they might find themselves at the top, because that is a game like no other, and it really does assert dominance in a lobby like this. I think just being on the Maggie, of course, is going to put yourself in such a good position, similarly to what Jayhawk was talking about the Fuse, when teams are just hunkering down and you're able to riot drill, so much damage. Look at that, 5.1 thousand damage, insane.
Yeah, amazing performance from them. 19 knocks, 16 kills. I mean, Zuni just had an absolute bomb of a game. Dropping a 5k in the ALGS is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And he will be kissing that car on the side and saying, you can come with me for the next game if you want to as well, because that is a ridiculous performance. That care package weapon really contributing to the damage output. And Citadel Gaming find themselves on top of the leaderboard, no surprise, Dan, with 41 points after that absolutely huge game 2.
I think it is always important to make one with the care package weapons. Sometimes I'll look at the car and I'm like, you know, I don't really need it. I have a fully hopped up kind of R9 or an alternator in this position. I feel comfortable with those guns and the recoil. But if you can learn the car, that recoil pattern, it is unbelievable how you shred through other people as well.
Well, just a reminder for everyone that if you want to watch your way, you can do that as well. Dan, I know you love to watch your way because you just like to do things your way, you know? And that's fine. You can visit algs.ea.com.
Sometimes I want to see different POVs. I just go to algs.ea.com.
Yeah, I mean, set up your multi. You could have watched Zuni. Imagine you watching Zuni in that last game, by the way.
I think we'll have to go
slowly leaning more and more forward as the game progressed, and it would have been quite something to watch. And you can go and watch it back. Go and watch it back. Go and watch some Zuni next game, or stay with us. Who knows? We'll find out. But anyway, what a performance it was for Citadel Gaming in game number 2. The real question, though, Dan, is what's going to happen in game number 3? We'll find out right after this break. Game 3 is coming your way.
Red Bull is giving wings to the ALGS and the Apex community.
in scrims, I think that will now put that POI levels above every other on those stats. It will probably skew if them just a little bit, and I do think that they've put down now a heavy benchmark for a lot of these teams who are going to have to try and catch up here.
Yeah, not only giving themselves a little bit of cushion to play with here, but also giving themselves the momentum, the potential for a snowball here as we head into match 3, the final match on E District, this time without Crypto, because maybe preparing in case that Olympus isn't their best map. I don't know, but this is what you guys had mentioned quite a few times, that one pop-off performance sets you up so well just based off of how varied our winners have been in this region so far.
I think what's even more interesting is that Citadel actually prioritized Olympus with their draft. They had an early pick. They went with Olympus. They got Shipyard Arcade pretty late, actually, which is a surprise to me when you look at how well it's been performing as statistically. Sure. And now they find themselves top of the leaderboard. So there is a high chance that they win this entire match day from this point. It was what we were alluding to earlier. One big win is something that really sets apart you from the other teams, because we've still not seen a single team in this region get back-to-back wins or even multiple wins in one single match day. In fact, across Americas as well, the only team to do it is Stallion. So it's so hard at the moment to be consistent, and maybe Citadel will be the first team in this region to try and break that curse.
And then at that point, it boils down to, is it enough? Sure, like even if they win this match day, we were talking about them being one of those teams that really needed to step it up if they wanted to set themselves up to get into one of those available positions to make their way through to playoffs. Even if they win this entire match point day, is that enough? Do they have to repeat this type of a performance in the last opportunity that they have to, you know, in the final round of the round robin? Like, there's still so many other factors to pay attention to. This is just the beginning of their journey.
Yeah, they need to take advantage of this momentum and continue to push. They have to win this match day for me off the back of that. If they kind of throw this one away, they will feel like Arsenal in the Premier League for me at this point. They would be bottling it, which is concern. I'm an Arsenal fan, everyone.
Pain.
I'm very worried. I'm in pain, but we're still first in the league. Anyway, these are the teams we were talking about as the teams that have to set it up, and Citadel being one of them. They have now stepped it up. So it's a chance for the likes of UAV, Orgless Hungry, and 3 Men to show us what they're made of as well going into this next one, and perhaps take a page out of their book, because when we look at the overall standings in Pro League, you have to hover yourself quite far down to find some of these teams where we expect it to be a little bit higher. Now, Citadel Gaming, as it stands, you know, they're up there, 46 points, 4 series played, but you have to remember that other teams with still a series to play, they can leapfrog a little bit. But with Citadel finding the points today, they would be in a far better position than they were previously.
Yeah, and I'm glad we get to see a visual of this and the teams that needed to step it up, because comparatively, prior to what we just saw out of Citadel Gaming, 3 Men were in that same gotta step it up category, but they actually had already gotten 2 wins. They weren't explosive wins like what we just saw out of Citadel, but they had still gotten those 2 wins and were still finding themselves in a tough spot in the leaderboard, which is also going to show you just how close that middle of the pack really is. People can still find success here and there, but it's about consistently finding it, even if it's not a win, just consistently finding yourself maybe more in those top 5 situations, consistently getting KP, even if you're going out early, just really finding a system that is working for your squad. Because when you look at where the points are right now in these Pro League standings, it's not a big gap. I mean, you're looking at 4 points separating Citadel in 11th from the Horde in 5th. So this is going to be a battle for those bubble squads.
It is going to be a huge battle, and some of the bubble squads, you know, they're aiming, of course, to get to top 8, but you can always look at, okay, at least we can get to regional finals if we can be within the top 20. So it's not like there's nothing to play for some of those teams who are a little bit lower as well. Their battle is a little bit different than some of the other teams, but whilst the higher end of this leaderboard is still available at the moment, that absolutely has to be your goal until you get put to that position later on in the season where you're like, okay, let's retreat a little bit. Let's just focus on something that is more achievable, as we can now look at the kill leaderboard here.
I'm actually excited that we get to take a look at this, because this was the first thought that popped into my head after Zuni just had that insane performance. 15 kills in 1 game, 16 overall across the 2, already is setting such a high bar for any of the other individual players to try and reach. When we talk about what we see typically on our kill leaderboard, we've seen, like, for the whole series, sometimes people around like 20 to 23 for a really solid day, and Zuni just almost absolutely smashed that out of the park in a single match. So I'm glad we get to see comparatively where that puts him, but you also see Nate up there as well. So, I mean, we're seeing some really, really strong stuff right now out of a couple of these players that we wanted to see step up to the plate.
I think the 9 kills on the car on that leaderboard for weapons as well was all from Zuni, just in that game. Single-handedly putting the car literally on that graph. Otherwise, it's been a lot of R99 and RE45, and of course, the alternator as well, which is something me and Mark were discussing. But yeah, if you see a care package, you see the car, I think it's very much worth picking up if you can perform with it like that. But for me, it's about consistency now, right? You have that explosive game from Citadel. I would like to see what the follow-up is here. Are they able to get that much freedom again? Was it just an advantage of how the zone played out, how some of the rotations played out? They were purposely looking for a lot of fights, and I do think that is a good thing. If you are a team who is fighting successfully and you're fighting well, look for those fights. Don't play what everyone else is playing, and it clearly worked for them here, and I hope that they can carry on doing so, because now with Alter and Crypto banned, we get to play the game, and I think it's going to be a very different dynamic. You're not going to have as much vision. You're not going to have as much information. You're not going to be able to res your teammates as easily as well. You don't have a lot of those crutches which Alter and Crypto give you, so now it's a little bit more raw and a little bit more down to different elements from these legends.
This would be the perfect opportunity to continue this snowball as well, but like you're mentioning, so many other factors come into play when it comes to Apex Legends. Nothing is ever that simple for our squads as they are getting themselves loaded into match number 3, our final match here on E-District. For anybody who's just joining us here in chat, welcome. We've had a banger of a day here so far. And the thing that I also loved seeing was, even though they didn't get a win, I do want to touch on Aurora actually for a second, because they were a team that we got to see after that match in the top 3 who went out really early in match number 1. And in the back of my head, they were a team that I was keeping my eye on for a multitude of reasons, not only because they're literally Aurora, but for the fact that when these two groups faced off last time, they were the team that took everything home. So now, are they able to repeat that performance as well? Because that's one of the teams that constantly has really high expectations set on their shoulders. Is it a map dependent thing because we played different maps last time? These two teams saw each other. So many questions, but seeing them up there in the top 3 at least shows some sparks of life out of our bigger juggernauts.
I wonder if Aurora and Alliance will perform better now we don't have Crypto and Alter as well, because they are incredible fighting teams, but both of them were hunkered down. They weren't able to push out because they were constantly being pressured either by each other or by other teams when they just waited out for the end game. And sure, Aurora finished 3rd, they got 3 kills. Alliance finished 5th, they got 4 kills. They put some points on the board, but if you're going to win this match day, you need to do what Citadel just did and be one of those teams who is constantly applying the pressure and pushing in and taking fights and taking positions away from people. But sometimes that's just how rotations go. If there's an opening, if there's a gap in the end game, you take it, because if the game plays in a certain way, kills sometimes just get fed to you, and you have to take that risk with this meta and how it is, especially with this amount of caustics we've seen so far. We might see caustic banned in this next game. We might see wraith banned in this next game, depending on what happens here, because we saw so much of them. But as we compare the 3 teams that we were talking about, Alliance, Aurora, and Citadel, damage is one of the biggest differences, just because of that 8,000.3k damage game we just saw from Citadel, doubling pretty much anyone else's damage in the game. And it wasn't just pointless damage, it wasn't just poke damage, it was actual engagement fights that win them position damage as well. They weren't doing it with sentinels, they weren't doing it with charge rifles, they weren't doing it with triple takes. No, it was hemlocks in cars, it was in the face, it was riot drills, it was everything you could want to try and take positions off of people.
Honestly, they were like Zuni specifically, as we get to see some of these highlights, you can just see just how aware he was every single time needing to check his back, but then also converting on that awareness, not missing, I mean, barely any of his shots. Like you said, that car was absolutely putting in work for him, but they just looked so sure of themselves, so decisive, so confident, taking the push and making it work. Like there was never a moment where they were like, should we, shouldn't we? They were just absolutely deathballing any opportunity they had. And when they did it together and they were functioning like this indestructible unit, you see what that does.
I do think sometimes when your back's against the wall, you are forced to play that way. It's the kind of screw it attitude of, look, what have we got to lose at this point? We are struggling in the overalls a little bit. We should be doing better. If we want to make it to the top 8 and guarantee that qualification to playoffs, we have to start playing the way we know how we can play. And sure, this is probably an abnormal game for them. We're not going to see this every single time.
Right.
I'll be happy to eat my words. If they do this back to back, I will eat my words and I will scoff them down like I'm eating whatever. But they are a team who now know they've put themselves in a really good spot and they just need to play consistent now. They can play zone. They can do what Alliance and Aurora just did in the previous, where they can get in nice and early, just pick up a few kills, get to the top 3, and they will cruise to first place on this match day. That being said, sometimes when teams are in this position, they fumble a little bit because they're like, oh yeah, we just need to, we'll play zone. Yeah, I don't want to put it out in the universe, but that's what happens when they're just like, oh, we just need like to skirt around, get a few points here or there. Then they die in 20th, then they die in 19th, and then suddenly teams start to catch them up. So I'm interested to see what the strategy is here for Citadel going into this match 3.
It is kind of crazy, the mental gymnastics that can really come into play when it comes to finding success in this game. When we just got to see those stats there, it was proving just how, I guess, off, probably in their minds specifically, those previous match days were, because 2 matches today, I mean, specifically, really just 1, but 2 matches here today were better overall points-wise than every single other match day in total that they've played so far. So I think that, one, it's impressive to even just get a bounce back like this out of a team, because even though we know what they're capable of, we've mentioned it quite a few times. Like you guys were talking about how they were a team that I think coming into this split, everyone was expecting to have done a little bit better than what they had done so far in this split. So they also have that in the back of their mind. But so being able to bounce back is already the mark of them having figured something out from week to week, working on that, but also just the mental strength that I was alluding to when it comes to mental gymnastics, of being able to function within this meta, within this game, and everything that it has to throw at you. So chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us while we were waiting to get into the next match. It is finally locked and loaded. We're jumping on board with the winners of match number 2 in Citadel Gaming, and it's time to see if they can do it again, Gaskin.
I think what I'm happy with seeing is the fact that from scrims where Citadel were performing, they finished 3rd in the one 2 days ago, they finished 1st in yesterday's scrim, or 2 days ago. They are carrying that through. Like, their practice has paid off, and they seem to have found comfort in these particular 2 groups facing up against each other. In scrims, they had 61 points after 6. They're at 41 points after 2. And this is what I was talking about. If that was enough in scrims, if they can just if they can put 5 points on the board every single match from here on out, they should be okay, providing that no one else does what they just did. And considering it's very difficult to do what they just did, we'll have to see whether anyone can kind of match that standard. Zone-wise, though, we're going to be heading a little bit further west down towards Neon Square, so somewhat similar to what we had seen previous. It does mean it is a very difficult thing to play for Make EU Great Again. This is what we were talking about with Jayhawk. If you are one of those teams that is center zone, how do you get those evos up? How do you compete with those teams arriving late with purple shields and, of course, with the purple perks as well?
I do, however, though, for going back to Citadel Gaming, as I'm looking at this, I don't hate this for them. I mean, this won't be too rough of a rotation. They've got some information they'll be able to grab along the way, and everyone on this Western Edge who was closer, the only one they really had to worry about was PRYANIK, who's already moved in from Viaduct. So Citadel do have an opportunity to even just find themselves at least mid to late game kind of functioning here on this edge and not having to worry about too many squads moving through them. Meanwhile, we get to see what's going on in the rest of the map, because it won't be as easy for some of these other teams to make their way over.
Not easy at all. There's going to be a few teams that struggle with their rotation, especially not having that altar available. Typically, though, in scrims, this is where we saw a lot of Valkyrie and actually where Valkyrie got banned. Not going to be the case today. Newcastle is going to surpass Valkyrie by 1, meaning Newcastle gets eliminated right here, right now. So no baby comp going into Olympus, for example. So I think that some people will be happy about that, though some people would be me, because I just like that comp as well. I realize now I'm starting to hate on a few legends, and I am sorry, but I do think some of them are very difficult to play against, especially when you put the best players in the world on some of these legends, you know?
Well, speaking of best players in the world, we've got NOVO going up against Aurora right now, taking out Iarko very early on. Aurora having found themselves just the tiniest bit caught out here, and there is also a potential third party in the area, so depending on how long NOVO wants to drag this out for, it could be a tiny bit dangerous.
Yeah, tiny bit is one way to put it. As now Rain, sadly, if you're on the Gibby, you can get EMP'd, but it doesn't matter if you're a Wraith. That's one of the best counters to the EMP bubble. You Q on in, you're inside it, and then you can wham bam, thank you ma'am, take out the Gibby with his giant hitbox. And now, sadly, they're going to be down to just one. It's GG going to start to make their rotation as well. GG haven't really found much to play with so far. They've got caught out a few times on their move through. They were another team, Glitter, who performed well in scrims, but haven't been able to carry that through because scrims don't always necessarily replicate here in live Pro League games. Aurora will get Hyaka and Oirain back up to their feet though, so they're going to be back as a trio, but it does contain them a little bit on their rotation. They're going to have to start all over again, and they're going to be behind everyone else.
Definitely will slow things down for them. GG deciding not to want to deal with any of it. They have moved farther into the circle and found some positioning for themselves, flying over PRYANIK and being able to stabilize just a bit. NOVO deciding to head down to Viaduct, see if there's any extra information they can grab before continuing to move into the next circle. And like you mentioned, Aurora might have had a little bit of a stumble, but they are now back up and reset. They'll get themselves looted back up here as well. And this will at least give them a little bit of breathing room because nobody else is currently in the street market area.
So the most common comp is the baby comp. It's Newcastle, Gibby, and Valkyrie. Again, if you don't know what baby comp is, it's what the pros call the baby comp because, you know, it's like Valkyrie carrying her 2 children through to the end zone, like a bird carrying her 2 babies via flight and then plopping them in zone and letting them be free. And you know what? It works. And sometimes it is the best method of just picking up consistent amount of points. And earlier I was saying with Citadel, you know, they want to pick up a consistent amount of points. They want to be one of those teams who are able to just be, from this point onwards, putting 4 or 5 points on every single match, and they are playing that baby comp. They've gone to something that is almost guaranteed points, it feels at times. So we'll have to see whether they can find themselves in that spot and whether they can secure those guaranteed points for them.
Got a little bit of a top down here, checking in with the Vicious and making you great again. Seeing if there's a little bit of poke back and forth between these two teams. Everyone aggressively starting to move towards that northwestern side of this next circle. So there's already a lot of teams kind of clustering up near each other. You have Blessed in the area, Potassium's in the area, Heaveners moving in right on the outside of that northern side. So now teams are starting to figure out where they want to settle in these buildings, what space they want to hold, and starting to see if they can maybe get their evos up if they moved in super early.
So the Horde are 3rd place at the moment. And this is going to be not quite the baby comp, but it is a take on the baby comp. Instead of Gibby, you have Caustic, who is equally as damaging, and if you can, certainly on E-District, find yourself in a building from it, then sometimes it can even be better than having the Gibby available to you as well, or the Gibby, should I say. I'm sorry, I always say Gibby, but I know I'm wrong. Everyone, it's okay. It's just force of habit from doing it for like 8 years now. Citadel, our winners from the previous, are now going to look to see whether they can take a position on this baby comp, because it looks like they might have to retreat from this one.
It's okay, they're playing this pretty conservatively. No reason to force anything right now with how far away they are. You can see that reflected here on the map with how close they are to OAH and how they're just biding their time. OAH decides to go for their rotation, and that opens up a little bit of space for Citadel. So they will be safe on that eastern edge, still grabbing a little bit of information and continuing on their way through that middle portion of the map where you can see you still have Alliance, OAH, Zipline, Mafia starting to make their way across the map. And this is the clustering, the congestion I was talking about on that northwestern side of the circle. All these teams have already known where it was going to shift, claimed their space. And this is what you guys were talking about in the first couple matches, just how useful Caustic is. You had specifically mentioned, I think in the first match day, when you were kind of comparing what we see in E-District to what we saw on World's Edge with those buildings and how the barrels function.
Yeah, Caustic is just absolutely perfect to stop people pushing you, but also can be one of the best ways to gas a team out as well if they are within that building. Now, this is going to be Baby Comp in full effect as the Lions are up into the sky. And the real question is, where do you go? I thought maybe we'd follow them and see where it happened, but I'll try and keep an eye on the map feed, because the trouble is there is not much playable space at the moment. Everyone who's trying to do this, you're probably going to have to take a fight. And yes, you can do that if you have those purples, if you have those purple perks. It's very difficult to play against that for some of those teams who are going to be within zone on those blues. And if you're going up against a constant EMP bubble, then what on earth do you do with yourself if you're being pushed that way? But it looks like Alliance did find a place on the eastern side to call home. And the question is now, for those even arriving later, is there anywhere you can play? The advantage of Neon Square is there is a lot of playable buildings. There are roofs you can work with as well. A lot of kind of hidey holes you can get in underneath. You can have like 3 teams in one area because you can be on each platform as well. So it means that we're not going to have too many engagements. That's why we still have 20 squads going into Zone 3 shortly.
We moved on over to PRYANIK to see if maybe they would consider taking a fight with HM, who was directly in front of them for just a little bit. HM moved out, I think, just a tad too quick for PRYANIK to really get any sort of good angle on them in order to push that fight, because I really think PRYANIK was considering it for just a second. It would have been a pretty isolated fight and relatively safe to take if they wanted to try and either Evo up their shields or even just try and get some early KP, but HM decides to dipset. You can see them taking that balloon and getting themselves on out of there as PRYANIK moves safely into the next circle. And we'll have a little bit of breathing room now on the southeastern corner. We get to check back in with Citadel as well and see what they've got going on. They're coming through the middle and potentially running into HM along the way.
HM are coming for this exact survey beacon. No, says no survey beacon for you, I'm afraid. And sadly, Citadel had left him on his own as well. So now Remix and Zuni are just going to have to book it as a 2. And HM just perfectly, by coincidence, by the way, that wasn't planned. They just wanted the survey beacon as well, probably. And now they are going to be able to be rewarded with it. And sadly for Citadel, they'll have to do this as a duo. I'm trying to see whether there's potentially a crafter. They can get back up to a 3 on their way. There is one down on the southern side of the map, but PRYANIK are there at the moment, so they potentially will hold out Citadel. And that is bad news bears for our team who are in first place at the moment, because you also lose your Valkyrie. So the baby comp has lost their mother, and now what do? These poor little chicks, they have to run their way into zone. It's going to be a struggle.
It's a tough choke for them to go through, too, in order to get to where the crafter is. PRYANIK is literally staring it down, waiting for somebody to do exactly this. So this is going to be tough for Citadel as we get to see where that next ring is shifting to, Dan. And this is leaving a lot of teams out in the open.
Well, now I feel bad for them. Anyway, Zidane, we heard from Jayhawk. He had a point to prove coming into this game. Can he prove it in this fight? EMP bubble has gone down, just a little bit of protection. Again, this is what's going to happen as these rings close. You have to find fights. You have to fight your way into some of these positions.
Infinite here surviving a little bit, but as I say that, 2 do go down. The third, because honestly, I was a caster curse there. Infinite did not last long. They didn't have any cover to play behind. Make EU great again is able to clean them up, and that is the first team to go down in the entire lobby here so far.
Yeah, kind of nuts, really, when you're not getting these early engagements. Again, people are planning their rotations very appropriately. They are avoiding other teams. Sometimes on the Evo Harvesters, it will create a fight here or there. And as we saw earlier, the survey beacon also was a point of contact as well. Apologies, it does look like the OBS is lagging a little bit. The observers are lagging at the moment. Don't worry, that will be fixed shortly. The players are absolutely fine. It will be sorted. On the meanwhile, I can see the map feed is working. HM have been able to work their way into zone. They're trying to wedge themselves between Citadel and Alliance at the moment. And there you go. Now we can get right back into things. Here is HM. They did wedge their way in, but they said it's not quite far enough. Let's dive a little deeper here into center zone.
You know, this is, I think this is a smart play for HM because a lot of teams haven't collapsed into the next circle. To be fair, there's not a lot of space to play with right now, but this does open up an opportunity for them to maybe kind of claim whatever is left over. They take damage in the process. That is really rough. The Riot Drill getting rid of one on HM, putting them down to a duo. NOVO still alive, getting those heals off, but they have an opportunity to reset for just a moment down here. Will be able to at least get the banner, and if they have a Moby, potentially get back up to 3. I also was keeping my eyes on Citadel this whole time though, Dan. HM leaving opened up a little bit of room for Citadel because they are looking for this crafter that Alliance is sitting on. As I say that Alliance is out, this is the opportunity for Citadel to get that reset back up to a trio now that Alliance have left. This is perfect for them. They've got the respawn there as well, so Citadel will be back up to 3 as Alliance, though, have moved all the way west and claimed a little bit of space. Let's actually jump in to a very quick listen-in with Alliance and see how they want to handle holding this down.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. They can't go around, right? They can't run. They can't, by the way, they can't. No, they can't. Look at the entrance spot.
One sec, I'm scouting right now.
Over here. I'm holding on me, okay? Holding me.
Yeah. They're still in there, by the way. They're still in, so they should not let.
Yeah, just get buff.
Yeah, we need to clear everything and then walk up the ramp later.
I'm holding top, you hold buff, please.
Yeah. Aku, keep peeking the ramp, Aku. Keep peeking.
Like this arm?
Yeah, you can fly up and down on the high ground. Me and Aki like peek everything. Listen, when zone is closing, we want to fight the ramp. We want to walk up and we want to like 3P everything.
Okay. Yeah, we need to cut this here.
Don't die for it. We have a safe spot.
Okay.
We cannot die for anything.
This is a cat SEER team, by the way.
Yep.
So they will definitely force us, maybe.
This
This is definitely mega team. Okay.
Just make sure nobody lands close to us.
Yeah.
Really, really good opportunity there to listen to how they were planning to handle this. They were specifying they do not want to die for anything. It is not worth overextending because they have a safe and a playable position there. They do know they've got a cat seer team in the relative vicinity, so that's always something to be cognizant of, but they feel very confident about where they were able to claim space-wise.
Citadel making their way in as well. They did get that craft. They did get up to a 3, and now they are diving on in. But Remix has gone down. But you do have the EMP bubble to protect you a little bit. But there's that riot drill. The perfect counter to a bubble, but they just got far enough away. Question is, can you get healthy enough before this fight starts? The answer is no. Zuni, though, maybe he can go off. We've seen what Zuni can do. But Citadel are looking at 6s and 7s at the moment, struggling to try and stay alive.
To be fair, I think a lot of those shots were coming from people in other buildings. Not sure that the ones above them were going to be willing to push that, but Make EU Great Again has been trying to be aggro here all day. They drop down, trying to get some of these kills. Zipline Mafia go out in the kill feed in the meantime, and you could see that they are trying to be as aggressive as possible. FUL eliminated shortly after that. Citadel still alive and hanging out underneath Blessed and SJP2.
So important that the Newcastle stays alive. That's what I was talking about as well previously when we saw the diving attempt from HM with the Newcastle going down. It sadly just meant that their revive possibilities was very difficult because they tried to bubble, but then the riot drills just forced their hand a little bit. As Make EU Great Again, remember, they kind of started pretty much center zone from their drop, but they have been able to get up to purples, and they are really trying to force this fight as well. You can see the call was made to try and push on, and they will be able to find the kills as Make EU Great Again put a few on the board. They're up to 4 now. 16 squads now remain, but still going into the next zone, there is so many teams still alive. If you move an inch, someone has got an eye line on you.
I mean, Nate was one of those players we saw when we took an early look at our kill leaderboard that was second place on the day so far after just 2 matches. The Make EU Great Again, their aggression has been paying off so far. Meanwhile, we're looking at the Horde and seeing what they're dealing with. Near stay healthy right now. This is a little bit of touch and go situation for them. The barrels are putting in work to at least create some zoning potential and keep them safe for a little bit. But as everything starts to collapse in on them, they are forced out. Will the Wraith be able to save this?
I mean, that's the advantage of having the new sphere that you can just sit in, stay alive, and not face any problems, but it doesn't guarantee safe haven on the other side. And sadly, Kazak's gone down. 9's about to be eliminated. Hardeki also falls, and it looks like the Horde's journey ends here, down to now 14 teams. Sometimes you just have to put your trust in a Wraith, but it's not always going to be simple as finding your way into zone. And now the fights start to take part here, and you can just see people dropping like flies in this kill feed.
It wasn't even their Wraith to use, but I mean, it worked temporarily. Not what they were looking for in the end, though. PRYANIK eliminated, and I was actually wondering what was going to happen to PRYANIK because they were the team that was closest to Alliance, the team we did the listen in with, who claimed they had one of the best safe playable spots, and now we get to see them continuing to hold it down. Meanwhile, Citadel, they're back up, they're looking healthy, starting to deal damage on the teams around them. Vicious is eliminated in the kill feed in the meantime. Nice shots coming out of Remix Powers. They're able to create some more space on the other side of that wall for Citadel, even though they know that there is a team they do need to worry about in the building.
This is perfect, though, from Citadel, isn't it? Like, you know, they're getting into the final zone. They find themselves on a good comp to secure points, and they've picked up a few KP at the same time. Orgless and Hungry having to utilize both the Newcastle and the Gibby here to stay alive, and they've done just that, and they will be able to hold this bridge. But this is where the most teams are at the moment, all on this eastern side. You've got Aurora and HM who are on the northwest, and then Citadel on the north. Everyone else is kind of here on the east. Maybe you could disregard Alliance from that, as they're kind of more on the southern tip, just trying to pick up KP, which they do, as Make EU Great Again get eliminated in ninth place.
Talk about a height disadvantage, though. Alliance will have to figure out a way to safely make their way up, as Aurora are in the middle of a massive back and forth. Effect is the only one last alive, trying to save this fight for them. Those fences will go down and hopefully create a little bit of space, but Effect is doing everything he can. That Newcastle is so obnoxious right now to play against, and in the end, he cannot do it. Aurora is eliminated.
Again, Newcastle just so important, and that's why we're going to see Newcastle banned going into this next game. Having that red shield is absolutely everything. Is now Orgless and Hungry still holding this, still holding out teams. Alliance trying to press up on them a little bit. Citadel go up into the skies, as now every single team is trying to find a spot to call home. Alliance starting to press forward. They want to take this fight. They know they can take this fight. They just need to get close enough.
GG out, stay healthy out. Teams are dropping like flies right now as everyone is collapsing in on themselves. Citadel still alive, able to get a little bit of cover for a moment, as Potassium are also eliminated in the kill feed. Citadel did not take a lot of damage. They're looking for a moment to breathe. They know they've got OAH ahead of them, HM and Alliance up a little bit higher.
Can Citadel be the first team in this region all season long to get 2 wins in one match day, let alone back-to-back wins, which is even more unheard of? Alliance have to go up into the sky. They're going to be kind of griefing OAH a little bit, which will allow CTG to just kind of walk around, press up a little bit and delay. If this bubble goes down before CTG have to press, CTG have a really good opportunity of winning this one, but it might just go against them in terms of timing. Let's see this fight.
OAH, knowing that Alliance is making the move in on them, they prepare to take this fight. Alliance starts dumping damage in their direction, and this is the moment you were talking about. Citadel look to move up. Are they able to capitalize here with this third party and see if they can win this? OAH is eliminated, and Citadel are still on the low ground. Did they take the right time to move up? They are getting knocked. Alliance trying to survive, and in the end, it is Alliance who are able to clutch up against Citadel Gaming.
The curse still lives on, and sadly, no team has yet to go multiple wins in a match day, as Alliance deny Citadel, but so well played by Alliance from that spot. A lot of teams would have gone down approaching that bridge to the likes of Orgless and Hungry, but Alliance, they stalled, but then they pounced when they had the opportunity. And I think Citadel, they didn't really know when to approach things. They had to use the balloon to be able to get up. That was one of the downsides. They didn't have the Valcult to work with as they'd used it before. But Alliance, not only did they have a clean fight against Orgless and Hungry, so that they were very healthy when Citadel tried to push them, but it was also the positions that Alliance took in those final moments, utilizing the shields and the bubbles effectively, so that when Citadel arrived, there was no easy shots and they were able to get back up. And honestly, a very enjoyable endgame to watch. And Alliance, well, they've shown us what they can do when they get a game that goes their way. They put 23 points on the board.
Yeah, that's the Alliance that we were looking for. That's the Alliance that Jayhawk was talking about. Although I do think had Citadel gone up maybe 3 seconds sooner, then it would have been a little bit of a tougher fight for Alliance to come out on top of. They gave them just enough space time-wise to maybe grab the shield swaps before they had to take that engagement with Citadel. In the end, though, like you said, it wasn't even about that last fight. It was about the journey to even get to that last fight for Alliance. They had so many teams looking their way. First, when they had to make their way up from the low ground, they had to clear up Making You Great Again in order to do that. They finally get up onto the road, and OAH, so many other teams, HM in that area, looking at Alliance, were slowly trying to move up the road, and Alliance still makes a very difficult situation work in their favor, and it rockets them 4 places up the leaderboard in the series so far, Dan.
And now if you want a good example of why the baby comp is as powerful as it is at the moment, all 3 teams in that final zone were on Gibby, Newcastle, and Valkyrie. All three of them. They've been able to find themselves in that position, and it is just a very difficult comp to play against, and also just kind of guarantees you points. And that's why we're seeing it banned now. I think that with the amount of Newcastles that were put in there, we almost didn't have it, and it would have been, going into Olympus would have been even better for those teams who like to play the baby comp. But now you're not going to have that freedom. Do you try and sub in something like a Caustic? Is that going to be good enough for you? But now we're really going to get spicy with some of these comp builds going into this, because this is uncharted territory. In these scrims, we did not see Newcastle banned at this point. Typically, we saw Valkyrie going. So we will still have Valk going into Olympus, which is good news for a lot of squads, though.
Yeah, definitely a really fun way to close things out on E-District, which means we are halfway through the day, which also means it's time for our halftime show. And we have a very special guest. He couldn't stay away from us for too long. We've got Shiv FPS coming up to hang out with us. But before we get into that, we're going to send it to a short break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Second half. Blast is over at Turbine. CTG, dude, that was their second pick, by the way, on ED, man. Second pick. They're now going into their best POI for number 4 in the States, dude. So they're 21 points ahead on their secondary draft pick for their POI draft. And now they're moving into their number 1 pick with a 21-point lead. Realistically, man, CTG should have a good second half here if they're prioritizing his States at number 4. That is massive to understand. Well, lock on in. Game 4 here in just a little bit. What a set so far, bro. Actually insane. What a fucking set. Holy shit. Insanity. A State's the zone pick. No, kind of. I mean, let me see real fast. One sec. Holy shit. Wait, Zuni broke 4 world records in that one game. Oh my God, bro. He broke 4 world records. One sec. Let me pull this up for you guys real fast. Dude. 4 all-time highs in a single game during game 2 today. 15 kills, 14 before. 4.5k damage was 4.1k before. Damage differential at 3,400 was 3,300 held by Hal. So he broke Hal's single damage differential in one game and had 18 knockdowns, and it was 17 before. Holy shit. Wow, that is a powerhouse stat, brother. I mean, 18 knockdowns in a single game is wicked work. Jesus Christmas, man. That is fucking insanity. Holy shit. No, that's definitely not Mickey Mouse records, brother. I mean, 3.4k damage differential in one game is borderline unheard of. You have to drop an insanely high damage game to even have a 3.4k damage differential. Oh my God, a 50 gifted subs from Lumos? Are you fucking kidding me, man? Bro, Lumos, I love you. I appreciate you. You're the fucking man. I hope you're having a goddamn great day. Chat, get those nation symbols going in the chat, bro, for Lumos with the 50 gifted. That is insanity, bro. Thank you so much. Holy shit. Get the nation symbols going, baby, for that fucking Lumos W with 50 gifted. You are the man. Best entertainment around. Thank you, Arrow. I appreciate it, dude. All right, chat. Well, what's our prediction here? Do we think that CTG holds off? Do you think there's any squads that have a major comeback going into these back end of the games? What are we thinking here, dude? Lumos, thank you for the 50. I fucking love you, man. I appreciate you. Dab me up, Lumos. I fucking adore you, dude. Thank you. That is crazy. I think personally, bro, there might be a little bit of an Alliance comeback in the air. That's the vibe I'm getting right now. I'm getting a little glaze going on. I feel like there's a really good chance that Alliance does come back for the second half of the games. I'm hoping that CTG off that 4th pick of Estates can really make this work. I do not want these boys to fall off. I want this to be a CTG W this week. We really need that, man, if you're a CTG fan just in general, mainly because they're not doing too good in the overall leaderboard. But if they drop like any 0-point games, this lead could just fall down if Alliance does good or Horde does good, right? Holy fuck! Bro, 50 gifted from Lumos into BRP boy with 100. Lumos with the 50, you're going to dap me up again. BRP boy 100, you're going to dap me up again. What the fuck is going on? 150 subs in like fucking 20 seconds. You guys are insanity, bro. Holy shit. Thank y'all so much, man. I love you guys. That is actually ridiculous. I love you. I appreciate you. And I love you all so much. Chat, get those nation symbols going, bro. For boy with the 100. Holy shit, bro. And fucking Lumos with the 50. Thank y'all, man. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the streams overall, as always.
You
guys fucking rock.
Oh my god.
Why is everyone talking about Aku's mic being terrible? We have CTG talking about Aku's mic being bad.
He hasn't done the update for his headset. That's
Can someone buy this guy a mic? For the love of God?
Oh, is it the same headset as you?
Yeah, but he's not even saying. He's not actually saying words though. He's not actually saying words.
He's just fucking beatboxing, bro.
Bro, one of these guys roasting Aku's mic is insane. Let me listen to the end game cons for Aku real quick. Should we do that? Let's just listen real fast before they get in the game here. Let's see how bad it really hit, dude. Is Aku not streaming anymore? Aku get offline? Dude, no way Aku got offline, right? I think he did, bro. Fuck. Let's watch the end game. We can hear it on theirs anyway. I need to hear it, dude, because this is a crazy. I want to also see how they won this.
Yes.
Dude, they wiped Orgless and Hungary so clean. CTG didn't have time to actually come up on that fucking evac in time. Yo, Mac, thanks for getting the sub, bro. I appreciate it, bro.
Okay, let's
Thank you, dude.
Okay, we just chill hard. I think we just chill hard.
Okay, one more can we go?
Can we bully to me?
Take this. Okay. Can we just walk up then? Okay. Can we just walk up?
I think we're chilling, yeah.
Just walk up then.
Okay, one, two,
play the middle.
Shoot block, bubble. Yeah, next to us.
We got
Yeah.
Get a wall down.
Yep.
Bro.
Next to us. I walk. Hold it back.
I'm watching. You're good.
Come here. Yeah, I know.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Pull me.
Yeah, I'm. Watch over me. Give me one.
Chill. I got it.
Okay.
Give me back.
Yeah, come. Rip it. I knocked two left.
Okay, let's go.
I knocked two here.
I'm one in PHP.
Yeah, you might be dead. Okay, did I? Top three.
Bro, how did Hackett survive this landing?
Yeah, I think so.
Right here. Go. Wall.
I'm popping one.
Yeah, chill. Heal. No wall. Okay, I have no wall, no Q.
We gotta kill him. Play for second.
Okay.
Got you.
Okay.
Heal me. Go. Can we kill him?
51.
Bro, this is good landings, everything, man.
Come.
They wiped the shit out of these guys. This is actually insanity.
Yeah, chill. No wall.
Dude, OAH just got bullied off that height.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yes. He died. So claps.
So what do you mean?
That.
Oh yeah, bro.
Baby. Let's go, baby.
I mean, dude, listen, all jokes aside, I'll make one more, bro. I'm not even gonna make a joke, dude. That shit sounds crazy. I don't even got a joke for that one, brother. That shit is so deep fried. If I threw a fucking raw piece of cookie dough at fucking Aku's head while he's screaming, that bitch might come out, bro, fucking crispy. Or burnt, brother. Holy shit, dude. My God. That sounds like fucking what goddamn hot oil probably feels like. That's insanity. Someone get that guy 15 pop filters. My goodness gracious. All right, well, I mean, what a beautiful job. Like, all jokes aside, that was gorgeous. That was a really good play. Them pushing OAH off that height with a Valk ulti and Alliance, unlucky, getting the double knock with a nade throw on the left side is ridiculous. Lumos! Are you kidding me, man? Brother. Another 50 gifted from Lumos, dude. You are a legend, bro. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, dude. That is insanity. What the fuck? Why are we getting so many gifted today? I appreciate you, Lumos. Thank you again for the fucking 100. 100 gifted subs, bro, for Lumos. Lurkin, Cody, I love you. Dap me up, Lumos, again. Chat, get those nation symbols going. We got 3 more games left for EMEA. I want to point out, bro, that right now we are nowhere near done of the day. Don't forget at 3 p.m. PST in about 3 hours. We will have the Americas games coming out, bro, at 3 p.m. PST. This is big time, dude. Right now is actually almost the halfway marker, leaning a little bit more towards a little over the halfway marker for these ALGS splits. It's pretty crazy, dude. We only get 6 sets, being played. 7 if you're going into regional finals, and a lot of these guys are playing their 4th set right now, moving into the weekend. So at this point, we're halfway or more for some of these teams, and it's clutch or kick. Some of these guys, man, really need to clutch the fuck up in order to make EWC. You're only getting 9 slots in EMEA. If you're not in that top 9 by the end of this fucking split, brother, GG's, you're gone. You're not playing at EWC unless you win regional finals. So we'll go in from there. Lumos, thank you again. I love you. And Birdboy, thank you again, man. BRP, for real, dude. I love you guys so much. Thanks for all the subs in general, guys. OFA, bro, thank you, man. Consistency, thank you. Mech, Gifted, thank you. Mech again. Bad Belly, man, thank you. Ariel, thank you. Leather Goods, thank you. Rafi, thank you, bro. I'm going to read off all the subs. Homie the Claimer, thank you. CMFK, thank you. Benji, thank you. Janice, thank you. Scooter, thank you. Philogenus, thank you. Boogie, thank you. Topher, thank you. Mayo, thank you. Darknu, thank you. ND Warrior, thank you. Vash, thank you. Gucci, thank you. Streamy, thank you. Yoda King, thank you. Steffi, thank you. Axel, thank you. Nasty, thank you. Squad Wipe James, thank you. Blurs of Times, thank you. Mongol River, Bardo, Larkus, Joker, Trayvon, Bunk, Ghouls, Durkee, BLT, Fraxis, Undercover, Lord Nil, Herm. We got Chris. We got Lum. We got Great Wargasm. What a fucking name. I missed you, bro. Funky. We got Maine. We got Indra Rah Rah, bro. Dirty Tie, C3 Slip, Team Thick, Fate Dealer, Butthole Valet. I'm going to end on that one, man. Thanks for all the subs. We got 59 and 60. Might be another scrims moment here, bro, for ALGS. We'll see. And it was unlucky you did not get in the game. I think Butthole Valet has to be the last one we shout out there, brother. I think we...
I could say nope when we're saying...
I think we got to stop.
You just said no.
That's all it is, dude. Some solid names for sure. I would say so. And unlucky did not get in the game. This will indeed be a scrims moment, most likely. Ain't no way we don't restart for the 3rd place squad on the overall leaderboard. We'll probably see a little scrims. Can we get an early scrims here, brother? Can we get an early scrims in the chat? Please, please, please. Would I kiss Gibby? Man. Fuck it, why not, dude?
Some of our other regions as well, because like Mark mentioned earlier on in the day, we had both APAC North and APAC South putting in some work, and this is a look at APAC North. Mark, you mentioned that you got to catch some of these matches, so tell us a little bit about how insane this was.
I mean, one thing to point out there is when you saw the leaderboards, the big dogs have arrived, is how it feels right now in APAC North. There were some incredible games, and some of the teams who were putting in massive performances are the teams you would expect them to, right? You had Unlimited, you had Zeta Division. All of these teams had a fantastic day. Noah's Fox in this match day had a pretty good start to the day as well, winning this first game that we did see, but I was really, really impressed. There was a few moments in some of the games where someone would just take over, and it was just like, this player would just like go on here. It was pretty crazy. Yuka in this final moment as well, with the Mastiff in his hand on the Gibby, almost manages to clutch and manages to do so for with his teammate. A little bit of help coming in those final moments, but it was match 4 and 5 that were very exciting. This is the one that I caught live, and let me tell you, Stuvie went wild in this end game. He went crazy in this end game. The amount of one clips he was hitting was a highlight reel on its own, and Unlimited needed that to boost him up the leaderboards. Match number 5, very similar end to it as well. It was actually Zeta Division in a 2v3 in these final moments, and it was a nice little jump in here. A little bit of damage coming in, an easy clean up here for Zeta Division to clean that one up. But match number 6, very impressive, Dan. I know you want to talk about this one as well, because APAC North never disappoints.
I think one of the biggest things I've noticed from the APAC North is the gun differences as well. We're seeing a lot more RE45, a lot more shotguns. We saw the Prowler coming into the equation as well. They seem to be experimenting a little bit with different kind of guns depending on what the meta. Like, if there's a lot of bubbles, they will pull out the shotguns. They will get up in your face as well with the RE45. So it just makes me even more excited for international competition when we see all of these regions who differ come together and see what the meta looks like when everyone is in the same lobby. But it was Zeta Division who came out first with 76 points. Another thing to look at, you heard about that interview with Shiv about Maggie being banned in CC.
Yes.
Well, in APAC North, Maggie gets banned game 2. They take her out because Gibby is, of course, so prominent, the baby comp being so prominent, that they just want to make sure they get rid of the counter.
Yeah, and then, of course, Our update from Apex South here as well. You'll get to see similar situation with these legend bands like Dan was just talking about, but some notable shout outs here from what we're seeing on this leaderboard. Obviously Team RRQ at the tippy top, 88 points overall, which is a massive gap above second place. They had a 20 kill win, but shout outs also to UBI with an 18 kill win and GOAT with a 17 kill win. So we talk about these singular pop-off performances, how impactful they can be. And we see that because all three of those teams are in the top 4, but Team RRQ just absolutely ran away with the competition for Apex South. As always, chat, if you guys want to keep up to date with all of the regions, just make sure you're following along with everything on social media and you won't miss any of these updates, because all of this will be relevant when we make our way to Split 1 playoffs. This is who is going to be facing off against the best of the best in each region. And if they are bringing different gun metas, different legend metas to the table, it makes the international competition that much more exciting as we get a quick refresh on our series results now that we have finished 3 matches on the day mark.
Yeah, I mean, we're halfway through the season, the split, if you want to call it that, and we're almost, approaching the back end of it now. Regional finals on the horizon, LAN on the horizon, as you say, and halfway through this series is where we find ourselves, and Citadel Gaming have a beautiful, comfortable cushion to sit on between them and make EU great again in second place. Alliance with that win jump up to third place, and this is what it's about, Lauren, making our way towards the Esports World Cup, making our way towards the Split 1 playoffs, and let me tell you, if the players are excited for LAN, if you're excited for LAN at home, I am more excited. Get me out of my house, get me back on a plane, please.
$2 million on the line for our Split 1 playoffs. I mean, this is what everyone's fighting tooth and nail for all split long, Dan.
You sounded like Dr. Evil a little bit then. $2 million. But, it's so much money. It does feel like it's in a movie for these players to be competing against each other. But most importantly was how many slots are there available for each region. You noticed EMEA have 9 slots, 8 of those through regular season. Then, of course, we have the LCQ as well that happens afterwards. It is just a real chance in those regional finals to try and propel yourselves into a position where you can compete for those 2 million.
Absolutely. And now that we know what everyone is playing for, a nice little reminder there, it's time to get back into the action. Different map, but same teams. Let's get into match number 4.
Different legends as well, Dan. Newcastle is out of there. So match number 4, we have no Newcastle, no Crypto, and no Alta available. So expecting to see maybe a little bit of Gibby, certainly some Valkyrie in there as well. Maybe some Wraiths, a little bit of, maybe it's a little bit of experimentation here as well, because we did see an interesting Pathfinder bandit in a game 5 in scrims this week. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case. But let's take a look at the POI draft. Aurora and Alliance, opposite sides of the map this time round.
Often when we see Newcastle banned this early, I think Watson comes into play because you can do similar thing. You can go Valk, Gibby, and Watson is your fortifiable legend that can just put fences down and get that the chance down to really put her ult and really display a lot of damage stopping abilities as well. So I'm excited to see whether Watson does come into play here with her pylon. But as we look across some of the comps now, you see a little bit of Mad Maggie coming into the equation as well. We've got 7 Mad Maggies. Yeah, 15 Watsons in the lobby. Watson's actually going to be banned going into this next one. 12 Valks, 14 Gibbies, 8 Wraiths, and then a few Ramparts, and still the 1 single fuse.
Interesting to see Gibby making it all the way through this week, but it looks things potentially. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case. But PRYANIK on your screen right now, dropping on the very southern tip of the map. And speaking about POIs and speaking about where to drop, we've actually got a little bit of interview for you talking about some of these POIs and their strats.
Olympus being the newer map, it's just a little bit easier to get the type of playstyle we want out of a POI that we want if we first pick Olympus rather than first picking E-District. We're more of an edge team rather than a zone team, and having those options on the map that we're weaker on, it really just opens up the opportunities.
You see what it means, Dan? You want to play edge, you got to get one of those edge POIs, and if you're on a weaker map, you want to make sure your playstyle matches the opportunities that you have to land where you want to match.
Real question for these edge teams, are you going to be able to force your way in as successfully without the Newcastle now? Yes, you can sub in a Watson, and it can be great for fortifying, but not the same for rezzing. you're not going to be able to just pull away with that shield available. So you're going to have to be a little bit more calculated for where you put yourself. But that being said, effect is very low. And now Aurora are going to have to try and take this one as a duo.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Aurora have been picked out as having white shields means that they are not only paper thin on shields, but paper thin on being able to get that res without taking damage. That thermite might buy enough time, though, for Aurora to get back to their feet, and that thermite could not have been better placed. All of a sudden, Aurora look like they're in control of this fight.
Yeah, that was very brave as well. You have to, as a support player, you have to go for those revives sometimes when you even sense an inkling of amount of space. And now Hyaka says, actually, maybe this fight isn't worth taking, and the portal is being set up just in case.
I wondered for a second if he realized that he didn't have the phase dome or if he's just trying to buy the time. The Watson fence was really important to stop the push coming through, and it looks like Aurora will survive in this situation, and that's pretty much the best situation I think they would have hoped to come out of it with. It felt like they were down a lot of their time in that battle, but they are still in the game.
Especially when you look where the zone is going to be going as well. Aurora want to stay alive. They want to get to that end game, and they will find themselves in a pretty nifty spot at the moment to work with. There's a lot of room, but the question is, how do you get up to the likes of Purples from there? Because you're going to not see many players arriving, and it is going to have to just try and poke damage for any teams that does come along. But now as we move over to Olympus, of course, we have the Tridents coming into the equation. Now all those Trident teams pushing their way towards zone, as Alliance are also in a little fight here.
Yeah, they are indeed, and this is happening all the way over at Rift, and that is going to be against FUL. Unlucky is down, but not without putting out a huge amount of damage. Aku is going to finish up. It's going to be a 1v1 here. Hack is trying to clutch, barely any HP, tries to drop the bubble, but instead has dropped the ball. Alliance are out of there after their win, Dan. They'll be the first out of the lobby. They'll be Red Bull first strike.
And again, the consistency to try and carry it across not only multiple games, but multiple maps is always going to be tough. And it means we will still be waiting for anyone to get back-to-back wins. But can Citadel potentially put a win on the board to try and be the first team to find multiple wins in a series? There's a look at all the comps that we're working with in this matchup, and as well, of course, where that zone is going to be moving and heading a little bit further west. So most teams are already within that circle. FUL, who we saw having that previous fight against Alliance, they're going to be one of the furthest teams out, but do have access to that Trident, so they'll be able to move and groove quite quickly. Naski's just been taken down, but it looks like the EMP bubble is going to be provided to potentially get them back up. Maybe it's going to be a Wraith portal to try and escape.
Yeah, they're in a really horrible position, though. I mean, you've got PRYANIK looking at them. You've also got HM... Oh, I was going to say maybe looking for the finish, but that might have actually worked out because they realized that Naski had fallen down from that platform over here at Dockyard. But yeah, the zone is going towards Oasis. It's just interesting now to see if it does pull right in deep towards Oasis, which I'm expecting it to, or if it pulls and bounces back a little bit in towards those Oasis villas a little bit further out. But from the look of the map overview where the zones are touching, I would imagine it pulls back in. Dockyards is a place to certainly call a checkpoint for now.
Checkpoint, but then where do you move from that checkpoint? That's always the difficult part of some of these rotations. Make EU great again. Eliminated eventually after Naski had been taken down. The rest of the squad could not survive. So that's going to be two teams now taken down here on Olympus. So a little bit more early action than we were seeing on the side of E-District, as to expect on Olympus, because it's just a far more open map. And there's a lot more room to take some of these fights, and also potentially more third parties with teams just looking for gunfights if they haven't been able to find early position in this zone.
Here comes Sheila. Yuki's got to be careful here. Irie's going to poke. Gets the window down. Switches to the longbow. Not going to quite connect this time around. Interesting to see the first two teams that went out in the lobby are the teams that are sat in second and third overall in our leaderboard. So this really does open things up here.
Prowler being used as well, just as we saw in APAC North. In the right hands can be a deadly weapon, and also it can depend what you get your hands on. Now into the Trident we go, and thanks to the Trident protection that we have nowadays, back in my day you would have been obliterated getting on that Trident, but it's a little bit easier nowadays as PXL look like they are struggling a little bit. It's FUL again getting aggressive in this kill feed.
Yeah, I mean, leaving on that Trident seems like the best decision possible here, because Pixel Lumina did not know that FUL were going to come through that portal all the way from Rift. They arrive at just the right time to be the third party. And having hit the ring console, they're just going to say, hey, all good, we're out here. FUL up to purples. They've got a Trident. They've also got Valkyrie. They're going to have all of the perks you could want. Everyone is full and cooking here for FUL.
I like this comp as well, with the Watson and the Mad Maggie available, and maybe just a few extra KP. Where are you arriving from, Rift? Thank you very much. We'll take some extra kills, but it looks like straight back into the Rift they go. And FUL say, look, we'll stop, we'll hold this position, and we'll be the only team on this southeast side. So HM gets sent all the way back, and HM look like they're safe on the other side, judging by the map overhead, as PRYANIK are going to be eliminated as well. So we're closing in on just 15 teams. So like I was saying, a lot more early fights happening. People more than willing to take the engagement because they know that getting into this last zone is going to be near impossible in some areas.
Well, HM having a rough time right now because the Vicious are after him now. Either side of the terminal portal is not exactly the stop they were looking for. Chaotic will move in. Feuda tries to answer back. There's a little bit of an angle that you can shoot through on that box. Feuda's down. No. Unfortunately, might be the next to go as well. Maybe he fancies one more trip through that portal, but he's not going to be able to get it this time. The Vicious will collect the KP and will be able to add some points to their game. HM just having a rough one there, Dan. Just seemed like whatever they were trying to do, it just didn't work out for them.
Just both sides of the portal were sadly occupied, so they were just inevitably going to be wiped out unless they were able to pull off a madness in that engagement. So, look at all these teams that still have to move in. Heavener, FUL, they have to try and arrive from that eastern side. Vicious are probably okay. I think one of the question marks I have is probably Potassium in the position they're holding at the moment, because they're going to be fine. They could potentially pick up some of these late rotators, but if this zone continues to force them to the west, they might just get really held out by a lot of the teams that are in Oasis already and have high ground on them. So I'm going to be curious to see where Potassium try and go, because Potassium were one of those fuse teams that we had right from the start. And when the zone came towards them, they struggled, but in recent games, they've done a lot better when they've had to move a little bit.
Yeah, just looking at the comp as well for Potassium. No Valkyrie, so they're not going to be able to just rely and fall back on the Valkyrie. I think they were expecting maybe a pull back. It does not do that. By the looks of things, the Gibby ult collects 2. The Remix Powers gets up to purple. That means that he's going to have 3 Gibby ults available if he can charge them all up. Zuni moves in. He's used to feeling good about getting kills today. Has to jump back into the void, and will just about get around that corner to survive. It's more kills here for Citadel. A lovely job from them to just clear that team trying to move into a spot, which is, once again, great end game, but early game can be rough.
Citadel opting to go for the Wraith over the Valkyrie as well, maybe feeling like it complements their gameplay a little bit more. And also in terms of trying to win this match day, they are already find themselves on 63 points. In scrims, they won scrims with 61 points, and they've still got 3 games to play here. I think that Citadel are looking like they are on a tear at the moment, and don't look like they're slowing down either. They are playing to their points advantage and being able to experiment with comps a little bit. And now they're going to be able to really bully some other teams with this kind of comp. Uh-oh. Zuni's back on car. We saw what happened last time.
We know what happened last time. The question is, will part 2 of the movie be as good as part 1? We all know that that sometimes isn't the case. For some reason in my head I went Toy Story, and then I realized Toy Story 2
the Two Towers.
I was going to say Toy Story 2 is really good.
Really
so
good.
I'm just going to not say that. But yeah, he's got a car. That's going to be fun.
Some sequels do suck. You are completely right, though. We can give examples when they are better, but for the most part, yeah, we'll have to see, though, whether Zuni falls victim to that or whether he can show us what he's made of. He did 9 kills with the car last time when we saw it, and certainly he's going to be a very scary person to go up against as Citadel continue to be quite aggressive with their comps. Stay Healthy will get their respawn, of course, but you can already see Matafi starting to hunt down and create a portal for the rest of the team as they're looking to try and pick up this KP.
Yeah, they're in a pinch. You look at Zipline Mafia looking down on them. They've still got to get into zone as well. So Orgless and Hungry smelling the KP, as are Zipline Mafia, and there is going to be one of them. Matafi with a longbow just blows up AJ. He didn't even get to get his feet back on the tarmac. That was a rough landing.
It's another thing that's been interesting to watch because it was E-District. We have seen less Sentinels, less longbows, less kind of long-range snipers in general, which you might see more of now going into Olympus as it starts to pick up. A lot of those sight lines are going to be available and more long-distance fights can be taken here. And that longbow certainly did the damage for Matafi anyways. Zipline Mafia on the other side of this 20th position at the moment. Can they hold off the remaining 2 players here who were respawned?
Oh, the right drill is going to hurt. Right drill is going to tickle. It's one of those tickles where you say, please stop, and someone doesn't, and it's like, it just becomes not funny anymore. You know the type?
Oh, yeah, it's awful.
You know the type?
It's terrifying. It's actually torture, I think. It probably
horrible,
was
isn't it?
a form of torture at one point back in the day. I wouldn't be surprised with some of the crazy things that happen, but 15 squads currently remain. Orgless and Hungry just trying to hold out at the same time, and, you know, this is just one of those situations you find yourselves in where you're like, should we just jump off the map at this point? We're not really going to survive. Let's just not give them the freedom and give them the joy of getting these kills.
Well, NOVO Esports trying to sneak a couple of extra KP here. There's the breach charge, but there's Sheila. And I know which one I'm picking every single day of the week. FUL trying to force their way into zone. There's people jumping into portals, jumping out of portals, jumping behind shields, holding a Sheila. It's difficult to navigate right here. And NOVO Esports actually get eliminated. So a 2v3 happens as NOJA trying to move in on Suki's position as they try and stick the res here to get their teammate back in the game. That was a little bit of a rough one on that side of the map. And yeah, I don't really like the idea of being on the receiving end of a 2v3 then.
Well, FUL are looking to try and pick up the pieces onto Heavener, who still haven't been able to get that reset yet again, but they've done very well as a duo to be able to survive. As you say, winning that engagement, but also escaping what was a pinch that they were in previously, but now FUL are dealing a lot of damage, and they are being patient here. Another team to keep an eye out for, Potassium still haven't made their way from east to west, so might struggle with their rotation, as all of these teams will on the south, because even if you win this fight, where on earth do you go? FUL have a bit more freedom than the other teams, as Stay Healthy and SGP 2 will go down. 12 squads now remain. Heavener are stuck between Vicious and FUL here, but they've done the great escape before. Maybe they can do it again.
SJP2 eliminated in the meantime. This is fine for FUL. I think the frustration will be if they don't get these KP. They have a Valcolt available, so they'll be able to get to zone as soon as they want to, but they just want these extra KP, but they just can't get the darn things. And in the kill feed, you'll see that Citadel Gaming do find some more, couple of players just disappearing there as they know maybe the job was going to be done. Heavener Icon will be finally eliminated, as it will be the Vicious who pick up a couple more KP, and they're having a pretty strong game here. That's 8 already for them, as 11 squads now remain.
That portal was off the map, which was great. Citadel still alive at the moment. Zuni taking a lot of damage, but looks like they're going to be able to get up top and join. But it's Aurora who they were pushing. Remember, we saw this fight happening a long time ago for a couple of these squads trying to hold this building, but Citadel seem to have sieged and taken this building. And again, just when they've got the aggression they've been playing with thus far, when they're dealing the damage that they are, they're just forcing teams away from them, making them run with their tails between their legs.
You've also got infinite ammo on the scout, which is a problem for anyone who's trying to arrive, just being suppressed and really harassed by that care package weapon, knowing that you can just take shots anywhere you want to. You haven't got to think about reserving any of the ammo, as Potassium will be the next team to go. Half the lobby now eliminated. 10 squads remain here as Matafe has to jump into the void here on the Wraith. Taxington doesn't have the same ability to do so, so sticks a gen down and pretends that he's not there.
Pylon goes down. Maybe they get a chance to reset because other teams start to look elsewhere. You can see that similar situation happening with the EMP bubble coming into play, and you can just see how important Gibby is. But if you've got Maggie, it is the best counter to that Gibby, and that's why we've seen so many Maggie bans happen elsewhere, whether it be in different regions or in scrims, but that's a good defensive hold to keep Vicious at bay.
Okay, he's going to have a go now. Here's a little peek. I tell you what, EMP bubble is back as well. And I tell you what, that Thermite is surely going to force this team away, but not without Chaotic puffing his chest out and deciding that he wanted to take that challenge. Gets the knock onto Max Strafey, and that bubble now is going to be not available for them. Sanya's just trying to play behind this knockdown with Artico, and we'll be able to get some heals off, and it looks like they're going to be able to survive. Chaotic wants to finish this fight. Maggie Ball now goes in. Sanya gets popped up into the air, and surely this is going to be the end of them now.
Oh, Chaotic goes down, but you said the bubble was back, but the Riot Drill also coming back quickly as well. And now Vicious, they might have to back away just to make sure that they can get the res here and stay alive. And yeah, it looks like they are just going to leave this one and allow them to survive and say maybe the zone will do the rest of the work.
Yeah, bubble goes down. That's going to allow a little bit of time for Sanya to get a battery off, but I think they can thank Orgless and Hungry there, Blessed, for looking over and contributing a little bit of damage to keep them alive. Orgless and Hungry will be eliminated. That was their final application to this game, as Citadel Gaming still in one of the best positions for this game. So many options. This is one of 3 Gibby ults that Remix Powers has available. 9 Impulse falls with no shields, but now they're going to watch their backs. Another team trying to seize the bottom floor of their building.
Yeah, and where does Citadel go from here? Because you can see the zone is going to force them out of this building as well, so they're going to have to utilize these bubbles to press up after, of course, the initial portal comes out from Zuni. But you've got to portal in, and then you've got to be prepared. Get that bubble down instantly.
Kaisha goes down, and now in the middle of nowhere, it's not looking too good. Bubble will go down, and that should buy some time. Infinite down to 1. Zuni comes back through that portal, which should be able to be rezzed. So that's 2 up at least for Citadel Gaming. That bubble's about to disappear, though. They've got to take a fight here. They've got to look for KP. The Horde will go down. Infinite will go down as well, as the Vicious still wrap this wall and hold this eastern side.
Citadel have got into the top 4 though, so again, it's consistency, it's more points, it's staying in first place, but now they will be a duo as it's Aurora, GG, and Vicious, the last 2 remaining teams. Citadel kind of sandwiched between everyone right now. Zuni may be trying to survive to try and get a little bit further in terms of those placements, but they might just run into another team. At the moment, they will survive as everyone else starts to take the time. 20 seconds remaining before this zone starts to shift in. And looking across compositions-wise, there's definitely legends to work with here. The Watson is going to play a huge part. Of course, that single Valkyrie that is available as well for GG could be massive. The amount of times in the final circle you see a Valkyrie go up into the air, stay alive, allow everyone else to do the damage, and then swoop on in to finish off. We'll have to see whether GG can take advantage of that.
One team to highlight here for sure is Aurora. They currently sat down in 8th position after the first games that we've seen today. But now, being in this final 4, they have a chance to change their fortunes as we head into more games of Olympus.
Infinite ammo on the Clxver as well.
That's a problem. And I mean, just not in this
they have the Maggie. I mean, they're the only team who have the Maggie here going into this final circle with all these bubbles. Vicious in such good position. Citadel eliminated in 4th. Great game from them, but arguably Vicious the favorites now just through composition alone, if we're not even talking about the Clxver.
Watson as well going to be able to eat up and all those defensive bombardments that come down if that interception pylon is available. So Gibraltar not as effective offensively, but still that bubble is going to be a problem to try and flush these teams out. It looks like Chaotic is trying to pinch onto GG here. That's going to help Aurora out of this position as well. Gibby also going in. MG Clutch is going to take a lot of damage. They've got to kind of just eat this up. Note as well that Chaotic has the power booster on the Maggie, so he's going to have that drill available more often as well as that ball. But he's got no Gibby else to play with, but he has the R9 in his hands as well. Aurora now made their move, but it's in the moment. It's in the middle of nowhere. The bubble goes down, but the bubble gets destroyed. Maggie balls rattling around this endgame, Dan.
Yeah, rattling around, and Vicious and Delicious gonna start to sing through this map because Aurora have fallen, and now GG have to try and survive as just a 2.
But he's gonna get this battery off as well. Chaotic goes down. It's a 2v2 all of a sudden. Tries to play back behind the knockdown. The Vicious might be about to throw this one away. Blast has a chance to pop up here and maybe look for a knock. Hoodie down to 50 HP. Blast is going to jump. It's not going to happen. The Vicious 2 hold. And it is Delicious from the Vicious. They will be a champions here on Olympus. And that was a big KP game again, Dan, from one of our champion teams. Match number 4 belongs to them.
Yeah, that was a 21 kill game for Vicious. So suddenly we have a contender for Citadel for winning this match day. It is not going to be as simple as maybe as it looked in the previous, because we were just waiting for one other team to have one of these mammoth games to try and make this a 2-horse race, because before it was looking like Citadel were just going to be able to cruise through, but now they apply a little bit of pressure here to Vicious, and it comes through Maggie. What did we see in APAC North? Maggie getting banned in round 2, and for good reason. If you have the Maggie and every other team is playing Gibby bubbles in that final circle, you are at such an advantage because you can just bombard them constantly, excuse the pun on words, but you can just riot drill over and over and over again, and it's so difficult to try and reset.
Well, this is the match 4 results. GG in 2nd place. Only 1 KP for GG in that game, which will be a little bit frustrating after coming 2nd place. Aurora with 5 KP makes them end up with 12 points. Citadel come out of that game with 10 after the 5 KP that they managed to get, but most of the points in the lobby just eaten up by the Vicious. 21 KP for them, 33 total points. Dan, it's been a fascinating day where it feels like the winning team just eat up everything in the lobby when it comes to points.
Yeah, it's been kind of a struggle for a lot of these teams who are finding themselves in zone, hunkering down, thinking they could get into endgame and like playing for those 5 points because they've just not been able to get out of some of the areas they find themselves in. Some of these buildings are just absolute death buildings that you're being bombarded by all these squads, and sadly not picking up the points off the back of it. It's been the more aggressive teams that have been rewarded. Maggie has been the key factor for almost every team that's won today.
I just want to know what's in the water today, because rarely do we get a match day where we get multiple 20+ kill matches, multiple 30+ point games, regardless of who the teams are. And today we are just watching squad after squad step up to the plate and not only get the wins, but do it in such an insane fashion. I mean, I feel like our squads are either starting to feel the pressure or the halfway point is when they found their rhythm, but things are working for some of these teams, Mark.
Yeah, certainly are indeed. And I mean, you're looking at head-to-head here between two teams who have a little bit of history, to say the least, and two players who certainly have a little bit of history. That's going to be the Horde and Aurora. At the moment, the Horde in 4th place, Aurora in 7th. Of course, a lot of these players have played with each other, been teammates, there's been drops, there's been picks up. It's been a circle of kind of rotating team and player changes. But when you look at the damage, you look at the assists, it's pretty similar. But the Horde are getting the better of Aurora at the moment, who I felt in that last game really did have an opportunity to have a statement moment, but couldn't make the most of it. The other teams in the lobby who have had those opportunities have taken them with both hands at the moment. And I think the Horde are going to be pretty happy with how their day's gone so far.
Yeah, 100%. They were also one of those teams that we had talked about as being one of the bubble teams needing to have some sort of a strong day today just to kind of either continue that down or at least stay within that realm, and they're doing exactly that.
Yeah, they're up there in 4th place in the overalls at the moment, and not so far behind are Aurora in 7th as well. Both of them within touching distance of top 3, but I don't think you're catching 1st place now. You would need back-to-back 20+ point games to be able to catch the likes of Citadel, and that just shows how well Citadel have been playing. I mean, even Vicious, with that victory, they are still 18 points behind Citadel, and that is not... That's not a small gap. It's achievable across 2 matches if we see Citadel fail, but we've not really seen Citadel fail. Ever since that win, they've been making it to the top 3. They've been making it to the top 4. Like, they've been getting those points on the board and being consistent and just slowly edging towards a win here in this match day. As you can see now, the kill leaderboard, Zuni's still up there, 19, and he is single-handedly keeping that car on that graphic.
Not only that, but Nate's still in 2nd as well, the person that we saw there in 2nd after the 2nd match. So things are definitely stabilizing a little bit, but you can see the kills starting to trickle down just a tad to the other players so that it's no longer as big of a gap as we continue down this kill leaderboard. And I love that we're able to kind of check in with this and see how things are shaking out. But we do have all 3 players at this point, Mark, on this kill leaderboard for Citadel.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want, right? If you're having 3 players, excuse me, if you've got 4 players, it's even better, but you're probably cheating. So 3 players on the leaderboard is, you're going to have points, right? If you're getting that many points on the board, you're going to have kills to go alongside it. And I think, yeah, it's been a good day for Citadel so far. 4 games done, though. There's still 2 games to go. And with the kind of pattern that we're seeing so far today, my thought is, like, who's next? Like, who's going to have this 25, 30 point game? Like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Aurora? And then we're going to end up with the leaderboards still, like they seem to every week, be separated by 1 or 2 points. I think that it's going to be a fascinating game number 5 coming up.
Yeah, a lot of things will hinge on this next match, at least for kind of starting to play out the rest of these storylines for now. Gasket, it's time for you to take a break. You've done well so far with your 4 matches. We're going to say goodbye to you for now as Mark and I prepare to dive into match number 5. And I like that you're pointing that out, Mark, because one of the things we've been talking about throughout the entire split is almost the contrast of the variety of winners that we're getting, which is a good thing on one side of the coin because we're seeing how many teams in EMEA can step up to the plate, but also still looking for the consistency out of those teams, even with the amount of variety we're getting with the winners and trying to kind of balance both of those. And right now, today at least, Citadel's the only one that's really been able to kind of do that.
Yeah, I think we're seeing, like, we've seen a shift in, I think, approach from a lot of teams in this split in particular. I think there's been a real change in what you feel going into a game, judging by where the zone is going. And I think it will change when we get to LAN as well, because it always does. Teams play a little bit different, a little bit more conservative. But in these lobbies at the moment, I think there is such an interesting thing where, like, if the zone comes to you historically on Apex Legends in competitive, you're like, yes, we have zone, fantastic. But there's so much power in abilities now on the purple perks for some of these legends that it almost feels like you're at such a disadvantage even if you have a building to play, because there's so much unique cover that can be created that's available all the time with a Gibraltar, with a Newcastle, whatever it might be. And, you know, having an EMP available at all times. If you're in a building and you don't have an opportunity to get out, you're fighting a team who has a power boosted crypto, who has EMP all the time. It becomes so much more difficult to hold a simple building because of the power of the team that is sieging you. So I think we're seeing this really interesting kind of, even though you have zone, it doesn't mean as much as it used to now. It doesn't mean that you're going to guarantee yourself a top 5, because it's so much more difficult to hold off the teams who are surging in a little bit later with that power that they have in their composition.
You know, we're also getting a chance to take another look at the series results, and I like that this is up here right now because it also gives me an opportunity to shout out Make EU Great Again. You know, we're just mentioning the fact that we're looking for consistency out of some of these teams, and they have not gotten a win yet on the day, but they find themselves in a top 3 spot so far because of their slaying power. They have had some really strong matches when it comes to kills, and that alone is keeping them in the top when it comes to the series, at least in that part of the discussion.
Hey, I said, I think at the start of last year, players keep your eye on Aku and Nate. Nate is performing, Aku's on Alliance. Stocks have never been higher. That's all I'm saying. And maybe I need to get on the prediction markets or whatever it is. I don't know how that works.
Can you let me in on the insider details? Because I could use that.
I'm a talent scout. That's all I can say. Now, there is a lot of names I've also said will perform that haven't, and I'm just not going to talk about them. Anyway, Make EU Great Again are taking a fight early, and Nate's already got his next kill.
You know, maybe that was the opposite of a caster curse. I just talked about how aggressive they've been the entire time, and we have not seen any early game action so far all day, it feels like, and then we're getting exactly that out of Make EU Great Again. They're chasing down the rest of this KP.
Okay, mate, you great again. SJP2 down to 1. And they're about to be hit with a drive-by, you would imagine. Although it looks like they're just going to hit the ring console first. But the 7, it's all too quiet for him at the moment. And he's probably enjoying the moment of peace because he's going to hear a trident coming his way in a minute, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. All right. We actually get to see what's happening. Make You Great Again did back off. SJP27 now has Hammond Labs all to himself. So maybe a reset opportunity, but that does start Make You Great Again off with some nice KP on the board. They have terminal to themselves, and now they can kind of reset and plan out the rest of the match. Meanwhile, we get a look into where the zone's going to be shifting.
And it's looking like it's going to be going up a little bit more north from Grow Towers. Initially, I was like, yes, we get our Grow Tower zone. We always have a Grow Tower zone. Now, it could bounce back and I could be happier than Larry, you know, but I think it is going to move up a little bit more north to some of that open ground, kind of the clinic side, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we will go up to a little bit more north where everyone is currently stacked up. It might seem like an obvious pull with where everyone finds himself at the moment, but I think that's just because of the playable spots. You can play those buildings for a longer time. The open ground becomes very difficult to hold as Infinite are getting battered. They are out of the lobby. 19 squads remain. That is your Red Bull first strike.
Okay, Heavener deciding that they were going to come in a little bit hotter here for this 4th match of the day. Nice KP for them. And this is all in that area that you were just referencing, Mark, the northern side of the circle that teams are starting to really kind of stack up heavily in. That was a quick opportunity that Heavener took because there are so many teams in the area. It was a little bit risky, but they were able to do it efficiently.
Yeah, Garden's getting busy, as you would say. As you're saying, you know, it's a lot of teams are going to be able to play those buildings for the long game and then look to work in a little bit later. Interesting to look at compositions at the moment. There's a few Valkyries still dotted about in the lobby, which will be very, very good for this lobby. If you're running a Valk Gibby composition, you'll be able to Valk in, bubble into the open a little bit later on. And in the meantime, you're just going to take your time to get up to purple by wandering around the map and making sure you've got that supersonic Valk ult and you've got that 3 Gibby ults available to defend yourselves. But Citadel Gaming, what a day it's been for them, right? I've got to be honest with you. I was really worried about them coming into today. I feel like their performance is one thing, but when you see, you know, Zuni, who is one of my favorite POVs to watch in all of Apex on MK, by the way, I think he's so talented mechanically. When I hear him saying, oh, I want to swap to controller, when I hear the confidence down in scrims, it's like, you know, when you just feel like there's a bit of writing on the wall sometimes. That second game just felt like, oh my god, wait, we are really good, and the belief came back, and from there they've just looked like the old Citadel.
Yeah. And it's what we were looking for out of them. It's what we were hoping for out of them, knowing what they could bring to the table. And also, you were talking about taking a look at the Legends and mentioning, you know, your predictions. You did say earlier that it was looking like Gibby was going to survive all the way through, but you were going to wait and see what happened. One choice, one Legend pick does keep him alive. So it looks like yet another Mark prediction is correct.
I'm telling you, I was going to make a very dated reference there, but I'm not going to. I would show my age very badly. Anyone in the chat know who Mystic Meg is? Shout out to you. Nobody does. All good. Basically, she was someone who used to be on TV who would do like weird crystal ball predictions and stuff.
That's you now?
I am Mystic Mark. There you go. It works. I just get the scripts out. Like, that's all it is.
It'll be Maggie who's going out this time around, so Gibby's gonna stay alive here as we get to see the fully healthy and recovered SJB2. Seven was able to do it and get all the squad members back up as they continue to pick up just a little bit of loot here. Now with a new lease on life, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, Denze's face in his player picture there pretty much sums up probably how he was feeling after that push came in earlier from Make EU great again. Not too much to smile about, but they are back in the game, and maybe we'll update that player picture if they win this game with a little bit of a smile. But SJP2, the great thing about getting resets later in the game as well is that, you know, you get the bin resets now. You're going to be able to pick up some loot. You'll find some death boxes, so they're not going to be out of it. It's not going to be the roughest of games. PRYANIK are now moving in towards the jungle gym, trying to find their way in towards zone, but getting hit with a CQ is going to delete the bubble, and it's going to cause them a little bit of a problem because they have to now wait to be a bit safer to get their rotate.
Was Stay Healthy who kind of blocked that opportunity for PRYANIK. So they decide to utilize the time and get a little bit more loot, as they have now discovered that that specific spot is not as safe as they initially thought. Now we get to check in with the Vicious, see if they're able to repeat a performance from the last match here. Get themselves back up in a top spot, as they are also finding themselves just in the middle of their rotation here, right outside of where SJP2 are in Solar Array. So won't cross paths, but will at least be in this kind of southern side of things.
Yeah, Alliance are in a great spot, by the way, over at Clinic. It feels like there's one team who can survive in Clinic on the height. You have such good LOS out onto all the other teams who are going to arrive later on. And you can see from the layout of where everyone now is stacked up what we're talking about with that open ground on the eastern side of the zone, most likely going to be where this zone does start to pull. Everybody's kind of posturing up on the edges of that area to walk in later. And you're looking at the fact that Alliance have the zone to their back. That's going to be clear. They also have Rampart in the composition here, which is going to allow them to output some damage and really hold that power position. They've also got Valk Gibby should the zone pull away from them and they have to make a later play. Also going to be able to dive back into zone and look at a survey beacon and a ring console if they want to as well at Elysium. So they've got lots of options available here. Aurora, a little bit more of a difficult rotate for them at the moment.
At least Aurora is up right now. I think having a little bit of a slower day than they would have liked based off of their performance last time these two groups faced off. So definitely they will be a squad that's looking to get a win at least on the board and kind of match some of this other insane performance level we've seen out of some of these teams as the Arca starts doing a little bit of damage here, trying to clear out the squad across the way.
Well, over to Grow Towers, and you can see the Vicious have made their next rotation. It will be safe for this next zone. It's a pretty good spot to hold, actually, just as long as you don't get walked up on. They'll be able to walk in towards zone as well. But they're trying to hold out Grow Towers now, who will have to leave. NOVO Esports are the team who are on the tower. And all of the teams now who maybe just thought it might be going Grow Tower side are going to find out that it won't be. And will have to transfer themselves over a little bit more north. I think a lot of those teams will already recognize it because there's just basically no one around them. But FUL forcing their way into Gardens at the moment, trying to hold this spot. 9th overall at the moment, just the 19 points, but that can change. Like you say, you put 20 points on the board, 30 points, like some of our teams have been doing in one game. They could be up in the top 3 very easily.
See, they're dealing with a little bit of harassment here. That riot drill forcing them out just a tad. But now we get to see what Make You Great Again are going to be doing. They have Aurora and Stay Healthy in the area, just barely need to edge in order to be safe in the next ring. So let's jump into a quick listen in and see how they want to handle finding a new position.
We should start
Start, come.
We need slow walk though, we need slow walk.
Yeah. Bubble their bubble. Ball their bubble.
Yeah, well, I will.
Right above us. He knows. Give it cracked. Almost.
Let's get him. I'm getting
I kill one.
Can we go?
Okay,
no, there's another shot.
Just get mythic.
Yeah, get the mythic.
I'm playing on the backside. I'm making sure that it's not happening to us.
Yeah, I'm healing.
Someone's Volculting from Grow Tower. I'm island on us. They're looking to land on us.
Coming.
They're not.
They're solved.
I have Clxver.
Wait, but I have a car. Take infinite ammo, Nasky.
Yeah, I have power ramp. I can't take it.
Is there an alternator in it?
Give me the power ramp.
What a play coming out of Make EU Great Again. That aggression working in their favor one more time as they are able to force Alliance away from that Mythic and get the Clxver that they were looking for. They now have a little bit more breathing room as well as Alliance back off to that amazing position you were mentioning earlier, Mark, as now we get to check in and see what the other teams in that area, Aurora, SJP2, are planning to do.
Yeah, Aurora trying to take down SJP2. They've got a lot of opening damage, but they can't quite flush them out. There is another team on their back at the moment that's going to be blessed, so they can't overextend here, and they do a great job, Aurora, getting the KP and staying alive. But now they're going to get Magiballed. Now they're getting wrapped, and all of a sudden, Stay Healthy are causing Aurora problems. The catwalk goes down. No one from Aurora has as yet. As the sentence finishes, Aurora, an effect will fall down, but now the carnage takes place, and everybody might get a chance to reset because nobody wants to overextend, seeing how many players are in the vicinity.
Those Maggie balls just really change things up. Okay. All right, Nasky. Wrapping around the corner with the PK. Getting that knock instantly. Honestly, I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Making You Great Again right now. I think that they are working really well within this current Legend meta for how it's working in their play style. This aggression has kept them in this conversation all day long, and it has forced so many teams out of the way. People don't want to deal with what Make You Great Again is bringing to the table.
Yeah, they're playing for KP here, and if they don't get it, I'm worried about their next rotate because they decided to overextend down to try and cause problems and try and clean up KP that they thought was going to be simple, but it's been a little bit more awkward than that. The cat reinforces the doors, kind of takes damage, Nasky's down, and all of a sudden Make EU Great Again, maybe ruining this decision to leave that spot up on high ground where the zone has now pulled to look for these KP. This is a tough situation now. Nasky down, they've lost their Gibby. That's the Clxver down as well. So, it's not looking good.
It's not, and you know, Aurora are going to try to capitalize this any way they can. Meanwhile, Citadel find themselves in a back and forth with the Vicious over here. Zuni is knocked, but they're going to be looking for that res here on the Gibby, but this is a tough spot.
Mastiff on remix, though. Arm shield is good. No bubble for a few more seconds. Got to try and buy the time. Should get the armor swap. Manages to do so. I tell you what, he might be able to survive here because the Gibby ult is going crazy. The zone is going to close in behind this final player as well. MG Clutch stays alive long enough for Hoodie to get back to his feet, but Remix Powers, he's just holding the door. Another ball comes in, and this time it's not just Citadel, but it's FUL eliminated as well. Blessed will be the final victors of that fight.
I mean, how could he even see what was going on as Blessed chased down the final KP? Vicious are eliminated, and Blessed now own that space, and all of that loot. What a massive third-party win on behalf of Blessed. Perfect time to move in on all of the chaos that was going down over there. And in the end, like you were saying earlier, chasing the KP does not work out this time around for Making You Great Again.
I mean, what's the team that's alive on that southern side? By the way, Aurora. Aurora's still alive, still a 3. They were the team who were in the middle of all of that carnage, but show the power of Catalyst. That catwalk kept them alive initially. Then it was reinforcing the doors. Then the piercing spike stopped people pushing. You just could not be comfortable pushing onto that position. And all around them as they were stalling, everybody fooled. Alliance Now, with still the best position in the game, will have to turn their attention to outputting damage on teams arriving. Blessed have moved up. The Horde also very close to them. Over at Gardens, though, Clxver and Gamin Gladiators looking to move towards the zone and also looking to hold everybody out below them.
I can only imagine if Alliance were able to have gotten that Clxver before they moved back into the squad. The Bubble's gone. Pixel Lumina are also gone. GG looking to see if they can maybe play around this Crafter right now for a little bit of cover. It does work out. OAH is eliminated, and Zane is looking to continue moving in.
Yeah, they look like GG is going to be the winners of that northern side. Potassium are close to them, and they're still upwards of 3 behind some rampart walls. You can see them on the left-hand side of your screen, and that is GG who now turn their attention to them. The breach charge is available here for Zane, but look at the damage coming in, and that's going to be Lufka on the Gibraltar down. That means no bubble available for them. They are getting bombarded and absolutely ripped apart as Potassium will win that fight.
There was just no cover for GG to really use. They didn't have the bubble up, ready to go for them to put down, and that was a tough spot. But Potassium did a really good job of taking advantage of that. Meanwhile, the Horde's down to a duo. Hardeki's trying to put in work right now inside and outside of this bubble. Throws a second one down as the bombardment comes through, and he's able to survive and give himself an opportunity to heal.
That power booster, baby. It's always good on Gibby if you've got it. Let me tell you, the bubble, you saw how quickly it becomes available. They can get Kajak back to his feet. They can get the armor swaps. They get a full reset as the lobby has almost deleted itself with everybody having to leave Gardens or that southern side of Grow Towers. Alliance, in the meantime, chilling inside of this building. They have barely had to fight anyone. But now is the big moment for them. 6 squads alive means they've already guaranteed some points, but they want to come away from this game with not just a win, but some extra KP as well.
They definitely have Heavener right next or under them right now. So someone they're paying attention to, but Potassium is in the area, and you can see Alliance kind of peeking that direction. Horde down below. PRYANIK making their fly in to see if they can maybe find a safe place to land. Meanwhile, Aurora, though, just lying in wait on the southern side, patiently moving their way and seeing if they can pick anybody off, but not causing too much noise in the process.
OJ's got 2 Gibby ults to use if he wants to as well. He's probably waiting to try and force a bubble. Now that he has, those Gibby ults are going to go crazy. One team is finding that out. It's going to be Potassium. They're getting absolutely pelted from the skies. Aski's on his own. He'll go down. Maggie Balls go in, but PRYANIK, they've all of a sudden had to force this fight and bubble forward to get the reset. Jans went down, but the bubble will save them.
It'll save them temporarily, at least, as Alliance have also moved in onto Potassium, who are then eliminated, and Alliance are looking to start picking up this KP. They have a couple squads in their sights. Heavener is now eliminated, and Alliance have PRYANIK right in their sights.
4 squads remain. Aurora have the most space in zone. And they're on the outside. You can see it here. They pick up more kills. That's going to be PRYANIK deleted from the lobby. That's going to be them out as we find ourselves now down to 3. It's the Horde. It's Heavener. Excuse me. It's the Horde, Aurora, and Alliance as the last 3 teams alive. Again, big hitters in EMEA making it to endgame.
Did they hear about our... were they listening to the head-to-head? Is that what happened at the end of the last match? Because... we have the head-to-head teams plus Alliance in here right now. All of these squads looking for the win. Alliance looking to repeat. I mean, this is what we want out of our storylines. You can see just how close all of these teams are to each other, where that final circle is going to be shrinking down to, and we have a Clxver in the conversation.
The team who needs this most is Aurora. They're the one big team who hasn't made the lobby count as yet. Made a game count as yet, and Aku is going to go down, so Alliance are in a little bit of a shambles here, and Aurora now see the 2 bubbles going down. Moiraine's going to have to wait and see what one's going to fall first to use this Gibby ult. He's just trying to buy time, though. The zone is going to come to Aurora. They don't have to do too much, but now with the Gibby ult going down, he can start to line up some shots.
That's a massive opportunity there. Nice way to zone some of these teams out and do a little bit of extra damage if they are able to connect. It forces the bubble out of Alliance, and Aurora are looking to see if they can find any off angles.
OJ just looking for a big shot that can change the complexion of this game. He's got another Gibby ult available now. That purple perk once again showing how important it is to get to purple armor on Gibraltar. It makes all the difference in these endgames. Power booster is well equipped. He is the ultimate Gibby at the moment. The bubble will be available every 8 seconds. He's got a Clxver in his hands as well, and the 3 ults. Only 1 to use at this point, but it might be enough to win Aurora this game.
Alliance might have to move first. Not a lot of space left for them to keep using as the ring is closing. It is Alliance who move first. The bubble is out, and now everyone's going to be looking in their direction.
Aurora have the best spot. It looks like Alliance are trying to force a second place in this position. The Horde's starting to get pinched. The catwall goes down, though, and Alliance stay healthy. The bubble also goes down, and now OJ is holding his bubble. They will be second to bubble, but no Gibby are available. Where are Alliance, though?
They're waiting. They're lying in wait behind all of this cover. The opportunity presents itself, and Alliance are making their move. They lose one. Aurora, all three are healthy right now, and Aurora take out Alliance and get the win you were just talking about that they were looking for.
Well. Match number 5 goes to Aurora, and we have a match day on our hands, everybody. Aurora arrived to the party, better late than never, but they get their win, and they get the BKB game to go alongside it as well. And that must be some pressure off their shoulders. That is a massive moment for them in this match day.
Did you do that again? Was that yet another Mystic Mark moment?
That's my magic ball.
Is that your power?
I don't know what I'm doing. Just ignore me. It's best.
I envisioned a crystal ball there, where there's actually going to be a,
Thank you. That was
a
what I
gift
was
made
going
later.
for, like
by production, they're going to put a crystal ball in your hands. It's going to be perfect.
I know exactly what production are going to do, and I'm not going to enjoy it because I know what I do.
Fantastic! Fantastic job. Mystic Mark called it. Aurora are the winners of match 5, and what a way to do it. A nice little 24-point win there. And honestly, they worked all day for that. It just didn't feel like it was really clicking until match number 5, and now they put themselves back up in that conversation.
Well, if you wanted to see the power of one legend and how it can influence a game, Catalyst. That's all I'm going to say. The reset ability that Catalyst gave them in that building down on that southern side of Grow Towers allowed them to survive all of the carnage that was going on around them. And just holding teams off, holding off the third parties, the fourth parties, whatever it might be. And by surviving, then they thrived. They found the Clxver as well. They managed to get into a position where they cleared out that side. And it comes down to a shootout in the end, and what's the difference? It's a catwall across the zone. Alliance have to peek. They have to try and find a way to step through, and they're going to be blinded if they do. They try and evac over the top. They try and be creative, but it's just the power sometimes of a legend matchup that can change the outcome of fights. And that's going to be the case here as we see Maggie being the next legend banned. And with that win, hey, Aurora up into third.
But like you talked about before we got into this match, that makes it that much harder for anybody to catch up to Citadel. There's just still a massive point gap after their performance so far on the day, and they are still in that first place spot with 71 points. But look how close things get from there for 2nd through 6th. These teams are all fighting for whatever points are even remotely available in every single one of these matches.
Yeah, it's getting closer, and match number 6 is going to decide which way it goes, Lauren. I've got to be honest with you, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to match 6. It's going to be a special one. I've got a feel. Mystic Mark has a feeling. I don't want to make that a thing. It's a thing now, isn't it?
It's a thing. God. It's a thing. I can't wait for Dan to come in and continue making it a thing. And before we do that, we're going to send it to one final short break before we get into all of that Game 6 madness. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Sony InZone, the official audio and monitor partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
I personally think that CTG will 100% win this set. I'm putting it on some goddamn subs. I'm giving 50 gifted if they lose. Lock on in here. Game number motherfucking 6. Don't forget, it's only game 6 of EMEA. We have another 6 games after this, bro, at 3 p.m. PST for the Americas games. 90 seconds till start time. It's been an absolute pleasure so far. I love you guys more than you know. Let's do this shit, man. Yeah. Well, the fumble for CTG hasn't really been like a game 6 fumble, the typical one. The fumble for CTG has just been bad showings throughout a whole set of 6. So I'm expecting them to hopefully close out a set that they've started great in a good way, too. They haven't really had this chance to fumble a fucking really good set so far because they've had just bad games overall in these pro leagues. This is probably one of the biggest team right now, name-wise and also impact-wise, when it comes to the region, that needed a good week. There's no one right here in EMEA that's been a solid squad for the last year and a half, 2 years that are on the chopping block like CTG. If this week was bad, which right now they're guaranteed at least top 3, if this week was bad, this could have been their ticket out of EWC. So it's a massive, massive week for these guys, bro. This is clutch. This is ice in the veins type shit. This is massive, bro. Huge. All right, we'll lock on in your man. Game number motherfucking 6. Holy shit. We got about 2 hours, man, till the Americas. 2 hours. 2 indeed, brother. I did watch that Jumbo video on Monsoon. I did indeed. Fucking amazing. It's a fantastic video, bro. Probably, I would say, my favorite video from Apex ever, in my personal opinion. So good. Alrighty, let's do this shit. See that Clxver shot from OJ? Goddamn right I did, brother. The little no-scope through the cat wall, bro. A little fucking no-look. It was beautiful. I mean, OJ's him, bro. I can't believe how good Aurora is. I mean, I can believe it. But seeing them make a comeback now into this top 3 is so electric. And that's what zone play does for you, dude. Like, you play zone, you're so inclined to at least have one good game in a top 3 on potential W. Like, this is a fucking fire-ass look for Aurora. And Hyarka got that boy effect on a leash. They're not making fucking bad calls in the late games. Like, this is really it, dude. This is fantastic. I'm really, really actually so proud of Effect, Hyarka, and OJ. I mean, this goes against everything OJ's been doing, too, in the last, 2 years of Apex. Don't forget, that boy's also been feeding face for so fucking long in EMEA, taking fights aggressively. So now they trust the IGL, it's also, impressive how much they trust Hyarka, right? I feel like Hyarka was a world champion, but not everyone gave him credit when it came to the zone calling and also his fucking positioning inside late games. But Hyarka was always good at it. So them trusting Hyarka's IGLing is fucking fantastic. This is a overall W team for EMEA. Love it, man. Love it so much.
Because people will play Valk and they will just play late, you know?
Yeah, I was told the 5 months to go, bro. Better next to 18 months.
Just try to fast rotate. I will try to guess where the zone
is. All right, where do we think the zone's ending, chat? I'm going to Rift. I think we're going game 6 Rift, baby. That's the vibe I got right now, bro. I'm feeling it in my big toe type shit. A game 6 Rift bonanza. I'm feeling this shit, brother. I'm feeling it.
When we looked at scrims, Cat got banned in match 5 and match 6, or would have been banned in match 6, so I'm expecting a little bit more Cat as well.
Well, here we go then. The final game of EMEA for match day 5. Match number 6 is underway. Olympus once again, and Aurora Dan arrive to the party. And I kind of love how we've set up now for this final game. It always feels like EMEA sets up beautifully for their game 6, regardless of if it's a chaotic day or one where the big dogs really do come out to play. And I feel like that's been the case today. All of the major players have had their big moment. Just one of the teams had one of the biggest moments in ALGS history, which is the difference and why they're top. Oh, repeat zone. We're going to Oasis again.
We're going back up to Oasis. By the way, 18 Gibraltars, 10 Catalysts, and then we start to get a little bit saucy with our legend selection. Valkyrie, Rampart, Wraith, Bang, Fuse, Mirage, and Seer. I love that final circle, by the way, where we had a Mirage on one team, you had the Cat on the other team as well, so there was so much different abilities you could use in that final moment. But it was the Cat wall that lived out. God. Now, if Citadel go down first here, it opens up for a potential for someone to steal first place.
No EMP bubble, no blue Evo. Remix Power says, boys, I've got a really good idea. I've got to show you right now, though. Just come with me, trust me. I know a spot. And look at that. They trust him. Oh, no. It's not this spot. I've forgotten where it is. You remember pre-GPS, Dan? Well, that existed, trying to find somewhere to go in a car.
I remember being a delivery driver before GPS existed, and I had to use one of those little book maps to try and work out where on earth things. And in England, when there's so many little blooming lanes that you have to go down, impossible. I hated it. I think I quit a week later.
I never knew you were
and then I think GPS got invented. Yeah, just for a short while.
It's almost as if, Dan the delivery driver. Works. Brilliant. Anyway, Infinite in the middle of the map right now. 8th place overall. Maybe it's their turn, Dan. World champion on the team. Maybe they have a big game.
He always delivers, especially with GPS. But interesting that Citadel did back away from that fight. I think that was quite intelligent. They know if they just have a mediocre game here, they should be able to win this match day. The only way they let someone else take it away from them is if they fall early and get no points. And then we would have to see a big game from one of the other chasing teams, which is definitely achievable from what we've seen so far today. But for now, Citadel are alive, and Orgless and Hungry are going to try and stay alive and try and escape this gunfight that's happening in front of them.
I've got to be honest, as someone who plays a lot of Wraith and Ranked, sometimes I forget I'm not on blue, and I'm like, don't worry guys, I'll put us out of here, we'll be safe. Stand in my dome.
He's like, drop it.
Yeah, they're like, no, you don't have it. And I'm like, oh yeah, all good, I'm alive though. Anyway, it happens. Orgless and
you're
Hungry
like, oh, just crawl through it afterwards, and you're like, oh, you dropped it in the air. Oh, cheers.
I do that a
well.
lot. I am so guilty of that.
I do it all the time. I'm so bad. I just have like a jumping addiction that I'm just constantly jumping, so sometimes I'll pop a portal and then they can't get through. It's terrible. Stay healthy on their Trident. Staying healthy at the moment. A lot of these Trident teams are making their way over to the west side, over towards Oasis. As you said, it's a pretty similar zone as Hardecki's just gone down in the kill feed. As expected, a lot more longbows being used, Sentinels, etc., with a lot more open fights.
The long boy getting involved. By the way, the Vicious won the previous game that finished at Oasis that we saw in match number 4, and they did it all the way from Somers University. So, again, kind of putting a little bit more evidence to the fact that, you know, zone doesn't really mean everything anymore. It is a case of fighting your way in sometimes and using the abilities that you have to get the advantage later on in the game. So for the Vicious, they're taking, no surprise, a very similar rotation to what they did in that previous game. They're going all the way down the southern side of the map, all the way through Phase Driver, Terminal, probably going to Dockyard again, to try and repeat what they did. So this is on the screen right now. Great job from our observers. NOVO Esports, though, their day is over, Dan. They are eliminated first in the lobby. They will be a Red Bull first strike for the day, and they will have to sit there and think that our work is done.
Yeah, not a great day for them. They were in 16th and likely could be overtaken, dropping down into the bottom 4, if not the bottom 3. For Vicious, though, as we get a little bit of a drive-by, it's going to be... You know, you go that way, we'll go that way. We'll have this Evo Harvester, you have that one. They literally just traded Harvesters. That is hilarious. Anyway, Vicious, if they were to repeat their success from match 4, they could win this entire match day. They're 14 points behind Citadel. Again, we would need to see a relatively early elimination from Citadel as well to allow that to happen. But the fact it's still possible is what's important here, because sometimes when you get into match 6, it's kind of a done deal. It is not done here by any means, and definitely a chance, and a small outside chance, by the way, for Aurora as they find themselves 21 points away. Again, we've seen 20+ point games so far today, and it could definitely be done once more.
Well, we'll take a look at the Red Bull first strike of the game with NOVO Esports being eliminated, and it is bombardment. You cannot play this spot early. I'm sorry, NOVO Esports. It's a hard lesson to learn, but it's one that you should have already learned. It's just too difficult to play that spot early on over at Oasis. Too many teams, too many Gibiols, too many nades available. You just get flushed out, and that's what happened. By the way, I just want to go back to that little drive-by exchange that we saw. I can guarantee it's a great example, by the way. I just let me preface this a little bit better. It's a great example of difference between scrims and match day, because no way on earth in a scrim lobby did one of those teams not chase the other on a Trident. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you get a little bit overly excited in scrims, that's for sure, and you just have that freedom. You just there's not the same kind of risk on a match day. Exactly. Alliance 44 points. I think they are too far off to be able to win this match day now. It would have to be probably record breaking if they were to find their way through. Speaking of record breaking, I know we mentioned it a little bit briefly, but just to follow up, Zuni not only broke 1 record, he broke 4 records in that match. He got the most kills in a single game with 15, the most knockdowns in a single game of 18, the most damage in a single game of 4.5k, and the most damage difference in a single game of 3.4k. So Zuni setting records today here in Pro League.
Yeah, for the rest of the lobby, it's probably like, we've had a really good day. You know, some of the teams are like, we've had a good day. Just unfortunately, someone broke 4 records in one game. There's not much you can do about that. Sometimes you just got to give people their flowers and just say, yeah, well played. That's phenomenal. Infinite. We saw him a few moments ago, a little bit more central. They've moved to a little bit more of a position outside of the map here, as longbow in their hands. They're probably just looking to get up to purple themselves. Looking at teams who are outside of the zone at the moment. Oh! Looks wet just the wrong time because Yaqui gets that first knock. Israel now going to move forward with that bubble. They want more.
They bubble up, and they're going to go for Bubblegum, and sadly Bubblegum bursts, and now Infinite should be able to press on and clean this one up comfortably. And with that, they will have the entirety of the southeast. Again, it's not going to be an easy journey. They might try and replicate what Vicious are doing by rotating through that southern side and then trying to hit the zone from the south. And you can see that that's happening now just with this portal. They don't want to overcommit to try and finish that because Billy No Mates is on his own and he's more than happy to get out of dodge here and try and get the rest of the team up.
Billy trying to break the curse of Billy No Mates by getting his teammates back into the game. We'll have to see if that's going to be doable.
Oh, hip. Oh dear.
Syringe. It's got overflow. It's all good. My boy Billy ain't going down that easy. Let me tell you that. Bubble gun getting bubble gunned though. What? Was
also a thing in the States. Because I know we're in EMEA right now, so like everyone's going to understand Billy No Mates.
It's so fine. But everyone understands the references.
Would it
everyone
go
knows
over everyone's head.
Everyone knows who Mystic Meg was. Everyone knows what Billy No Mates is. We're good. We're chilling.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure.
Later it's a problem.
Later it could be a problem as PRYANIK, are they in a problem? It looks like they've been able to actually like border up these doors at the moment, and okay, they're out of there. Again, that's the advantage of having the Trident. You don't necessarily need to take that fight if it is not going to be one that you feel comfortable in. But then PRYANIK, where do you go? Are they going to try and hit the entire northern side as we check in with Vicious, and they've lost two?
Yeah, what could have been a great day might now be a disappointing end to the day. MG Clutch trying to survive on the Wraith here, jumps into the Void and jumps into the Trident and then jumps into the zone. So he's jumping into anything he can at the moment to try and keep his team's game alive. The Vicious do not have success on the same rotate they tried last time they won this game. Back over to Fight Out though, and back over to PRYANIK. See what they can do.
On the other side, FUL. Orbit's taking a little bit of damage, but that cat wall at the moment is definitely impeding their vision, and they might be able to actually escape because of it.
I cannot see anything.
Where are they?
Right now.
I don't know.
Well, there's Orbit. Oh, okay. Good. Jans gets the kill eventually. That'll do it. The PRYANIK do succeed in their fight. GG just having a little look at this one. Orgless and Hungry, by the way, still alive and still deep in zone, and GG are holding them out at the moment. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Great job from our observing team. Blast is stood still at the moment. Hopefully not disconnected. That would be rough. Maybe just hitting the ring console by the looks of things.
Yep, he's fine.
Yeah, he's good.
Also,
just standing a bit too still for my liking, you know?
And they're still hungry as well, but sadly it's not necessarily helping them out in this game by the looks of it. I love this repositioning from Zayn as well, but that being said, Lufka has gone down. Orgless and Hungry are giving this a bloody good go, but I think the ring is just doing too much damage to them at the moment.
Well, he's going to step through the cat wall because he's Catalyst. Excuse me, he's Wraith, and it is his teammate's Catalyst wall, which means that he's not going to be impaired whatsoever. Orgless and Hungry spent too long in zone, and GG will eat up those KP, meaning that they are not Orgless or Hungry, Dan. They have an Org, and they've now eaten.
Vicious do get the respawn. Chaotic and Hoodie are going to be back up, so there is still life yet, and still an opportunity for Vicious to take this entire match day, but Citadel Gaming are still alive, which is of course going to be one of the biggest problems. I'm sure Citadel are probably keeping a keen eye on that kill feed, hoping to see the likes of Vicious and Aurora eliminated, because then they can just kind of relax a little bit. With both of those two teams gone, they should be good for first place in this match day. That being said, if we did see Vicious get eliminated, it opens up potential for second place for a couple of teams as well. So Vicious have done very well to get back up to a 3 here and give this one a good go.
Billy, loads of mates. He's back.
So many.
Bubblegum with the bubble gun. Let's see what he can do, trying to break some glass, and manages to do so. Unfortunately for him and everyone watching, Stone Cold Steve Austin does not appear out of the back of the curtain. Instead, it's just going to be them trying to rotate and trying to force their way into zone. Bit of a risk to take this balloon, but I don't know what their other options are. It's going to be a bubble fight instead.
Bubble on bubble action, the alternator available for Billy, and as soon as that bubble drops, you let rip, and it's going to be an easy one, but it is going to be a trade happening there, but I think that they should be able to win this one out, but unfortunately for them, there's a third party arriving.
Yeah, Pixel Lumina down, SJP2 down pretty much as well, and it's going to be the Vicious back on the map who will collect not only KP, but also some well-earned loot. So MG Clutch living up to his name at the moment, going huge and managing to get his team back into this game. And also, he kept that Trident.
Oh dear. Can they get past GG here? Can they survive? Because Vicious now only 12 points away from first place. Is there a bubble? It's still not there. Oh, someone else's bubble's there, but Vicious look like they might be falling here. MG clutch the last as Vicious go down, and that means their chances of winning are done. But can they hold on to second as Alliance will be the ones to put the final nail in that coffin?
Well, I can guarantee you that Alliance might be a little bit frustrated here, and the acronym they will be using is something like WTF, because they just had a team fly in at them out of nowhere, grief their game, and now GG may be able to pick up the pieces. Alliance are out.
Man, this changes this whole leaderboard. There is points up for grabs. Remember, it's not just about winning a match day. It's about being as high as you can on the leaderboards to get points for the overall standings. And just a few points difference could be your chance to get to LAN as well as make EU great again. They're doing so well to survive in that bubble. They are able to get 2. Infinite have been eliminated and make EU great again, down to just the 2 themselves. But maybe they can still win this one because the angle is nuts.
Nasty feeling nasty. Great shots coming in from him. The Horde get the respawn in the meantime as well. By the way, the zone has shifted all the way to the north on the compound. So we're not finishing at Oasis. We're actually going to pull all the way to the north around the little respawn compound. Blessed eliminated in the meantime. Everybody who's here is going to have to leave. The only team at the moment who's in zone is Zipline Mafia.
The Horde have now overtaken Aurora in 3rd place, and they start to lead their charge towards top 2. Of course, Vicious, they set the benchmark of 60 points for 2nd place, as now both Horde and Aurora will be trying to catch that up. And as I said, a small, slim outside chance of either Horde or Aurora catching Citadel if Citadel go down soon. But at the moment, Citadel have been able to at least put themselves in a pretty good spot with the points they've already put on the board. And they're still alive, so that helps out big time.
Yeah, it certainly does, and they're also on the side of zone that they want to be. It's funny how earlier on we were thinking that they might be eliminated first in the lobby by surviving, jumping in that trident and getting to that northern side. They're actually going to be ahead of most of the traffic now on the zone and should be able to guarantee themselves some placement points. Make you great again, have managed to get the full reset here, and now we'll turn their attention to that traffic. They should be safe on this walk in as well, and also they're going to be full of confidence with the shots that were being hit by Nasky a few moments ago.
Also, can any of our teams find 2 wins in one match day? Because still, we've had 5 different winners thus far as Horde go down, and that means that 3rd place opens up now for Aurora as Make EU great again. They are healthy. They've been able to utilize this bubble. You can see Zane Blast taking a lot of damage on the southern side. That was a huge amount of damage onto Nasky.
I mean, those Sky Nades just hit very hard. Nate, you're next. Make EU great again. Your day is done. A decent day for them, though. Certainly improved from what we've seen from them in previous match days, as GG will stay alive. 45 seconds left on this zone, and look at that pull all the way up to the north.
It's all down to Aurora or Citadel, by the way, to find a repeat winner of the day. Speaking of, let's jump onto Aurora, and they're against Citadel. If they're going to have any chance of winning today, they have to win this fight, and they have to win it quickly as well. They've been able to get a couple. The last remaining player will escape.
One player alive for Citadel. Comes back through. Citadel are dead. Aurora are making a late run here in match number 6. And they are into the top 7 now with some KP. 59 points. 60 points is what they need to jump up to 2nd place. GG have been eliminated in the meantime. The question is, can they chase down CGG, or have they left just too much of a gap here?
14 points needed, 6 squads remaining. They would need 3 of these full team wipes as well as finishing in 1st place. Still doable for Aurora, but with Effect going down, it's not looking great, but the bubble will come out as a last-ditch attempt, but they are being chased here, and I don't think Effect is going to be able to get back on his feet, so Aurora have to run as a 2.
PRYANIK is the team who's trying to force them away as well and stay healthy. Excuse me, going to be the team who are close to them. PRYANIK are actually down, on the gateway between the big wall in front of them. And Stay Healthy who force everyone away and will end up controlling this northern side. Elsewhere in the compound, Zipline Mafia have been here for quite some time. Of HM landing underneath them. Aurora are still alive, by the way. As I say it, they get eliminated. So Stay Healthy now have a chance to jump up the leaderboards.
Yeah, and PRYANIK still alive. They're in 7th place, as you had mentioned. They can start to go a little bit further. They can maybe catch up the likes of Alliance if they can find a victory here. Stay Healthy down to just 2 now, but the Death Box, it can grab a banner, and they do have a Moby as well, remember.
PRYANIK gonna try and peek through as well and finish off these final 2 players. You see the fuse ult going in as well to try and contribute to damage that they can take advantage of. Catwall goes down to try and split them away from that team that's causing them some problems. That's going to be a combination of Potassium and HM, I think, that are forcing them. PRYANIK now some great shots.
Sounds like a combination of something to build a potion, I'll be honest.
Great shots coming in from Jans. Guts down to 1 HP. He's dealt with. Last player alive. Caught between a very small rock and a very hard place. Stay Healthy will be eliminated, and PRYANIK will survive and now own this northern side for a second.
Zipline Mafia still alive. Remember, they were 20th place in this one, but now they're up to 13th. They're getting points, but Bubble has come down. Catwall on the other side might give them some protection, but look at the amount of damage that's come through from elsewhere. Zipline Mafia definitely struggling.
Oh, Fitu. Somehow. I don't know how, but he's still alive and he gets the battery popped.
PRYANIK have been able to push themselves on the other side of this wall, though, so now they can just skirt around on the southern side. They can kind of wait for the damage to be done and then pounce on the rest of these teams.
HM in a good spot as well. This fight has been going on for quite some time. 2 players inside of that bubble with no shields. No will find one. Zipline Mafia have been eliminated. It's a shootout now as PRYANIK move in to try and clean up the final pieces to complete their day. 7th place in the overall, but a win here might change that and make it look even better. Last player alive for them to deal with. No flies in. He's going to be dealt with, and it will be PRYANIK who win game number 6, and we still have no repeat winners, Dan.
I mean, kind of crazy, really, isn't it, that we've just not found a repeat winner in this region on a single match day. But what that does mean for PRYANIK is they push themselves up to 6th place. They overtake Alliance, and as I was mentioning, those extra points for finishing top 6 rather than top 7 could be massive for their chances of making playoffs at the end of this split. So I think they'll be delighted to finish off with a W there. Of course, there was potentially the Cinderella story, the chance for Vicious to maybe catch up Citadel, but after that amazing win earlier and the consistency from Citadel, they will sit pretty at 1st place here.
Yeah, very impressive stuff from Citadel. You're looking at the overalls and you look at how that game influenced the final standings, and when we're talking about that game, you'll know what I'm talking about if you were there today when we played on E-District. That game number 2, one to watch back for sure in the VODs, but PRYANIK, they have their moment here. 14 KP, and again, Dan, a 26-point game. It has been a day blessed with just massive games where one team has completely taken over the lobby.
Yeah, and the teams who were able to benefit the most from those big games were those who just found consistent placements afterwards, Citadel being the obvious one, but you can look at Vicious, you look at Aurora that have been able to do it as well. It's not about just the one big game, but it's about finding extra points thereafter and not just relying on the one here, Glitter.
I was waiting to see if we were going to get the repeat winner, and EMEA leaves us in suspense for yet another match day. I'm not mad about it. I don't hate it. I like that we also saw, even in the final match, the comeback out of PRYANIK, because they were a team that got 2nd place last time these groups faced off. So nice to kind of see them back in that discussion. They've been having some pretty solid match days for themselves, and now we get to see what that means for our series results. You guys were talking about it. There was no catching up of Citadel Gaming, Mark. They were just too far away with those points, and this is where everything shook out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about that game again because it deserves to be talking about. When you've got Zuni breaking 4 records in one game, you know, it's one you need to go and watch back, and it's one I'm sure that everybody who watches ALGS is going to reference in the future as well as being one of those historic games. So for Zuni, it was certainly a standout performance individually. For Citadel as a team, a standout performance individually. And what a big week this was for Citadel as well. They have been way below par, and they know they've been below par. The fans know they've been below par, but today we see the return to form from them. That is what they can do, and they have now jumped up into the top 10 from what looks like a very dark place for them to be in.
Not too shabby, because if I am being told right now that they started off in 20th, so this is quite the jump up to say the least, and it puts them only 1 point behind Blessed, who's also played the same amount of series, only 2 points behind Horde at the same amount of series. So this definitely puts them in the running. Sure, there's a couple teams here on this first page that still have another one extra opportunity to get those points on the board for these Pro League standings, but it is the first massive step they needed to make, Dan, and this is something you and I were talking about at the very beginning of the day.
Yeah, because remember, those top 8 positions are the golden positions for getting yourself to playoffs once we conclude the regional finals. Of course, regional finals winner as well. But that means that Citadel are now in that conversation. They were a team that needed to step it up, and now they find themselves as a bubble team. They're a team that we have to watch, and we have to appreciate what we've just seen today, because it was an amazing recovery after what we were talking about, a difficult start to their season. But now we see them at their very best, or maybe they can still do better, because, you know, it's only 1 win in a match day, and we're still yet to see anyone get a second.
I know. The EMEA is just keeping things interesting right now. But this is something we wanted to keep our eyes on all day long. Our Sony Endzone kill leaderboard. Zuni has been at the top of it all day, only to be ousted by Nate by 1 singular kill mark. That is crazy.
Get wrecked. What did you do today? Nate did more by 1. No, I mean, you're still looking at the top of the leaderboards. When you've got 2 players in the top 10, you're usually having a great day. And I think that you can see that from Citadel Gaming. I'm pretty sure that, you know, they were very close to having all 3, because at one point we saw all 3 players up there. So yeah, a great day for them. But again, Nate just showing that he's just got this individual slaying power that I think everybody is looking at, and certainly again a name that people are going to remember. And I will say this again, invest in Nate stocks right now. Nate coin going crazy right now. Okay, this is not financial advice, by the way. Just to say,
I was going to say financial advice from Mystic Mark.
There's actually a thing called Nate coin, so don't buy that, whatever it is. But yeah, it's he's been phenomenal today. I mean, the R9 sprays, I loved how he was playing on the Wraith as well, and overextending and using that portal to make sure that if there was fights breaking out, they could be a part of it. And I think that's a big reason that Make EU Great Again had good success today. Also great hair.
Yeah. I mean, they just had a really strong day of aggression, which we were highlighting in match number 5. And even if it didn't result in a win on the day for them, what we saw is that they are definitely figuring out how to fight as a team, Dan. And this is really important, especially when you figure out your Slayer, what they can do and how much they can bring to the table, because they need to identify that.
Yeah, top 5 for Mega, and I think they're going to be delighted with that. There's a potential they could have gone a little bit further. Sadly, they weren't one of the teams that found a victory, but the fact they were one of the few teams didn't find a victory and still found themselves in the top 5 ahead of PRYANIK, who did get that victory, just shows how impressive their consistency was today. One thing I also noticed was the wingman appearing on the weapon meta, and also in the hands of Nate as well. It's starting to kind of come back into the meta a little bit. People are favoring the wingman just because of how heavy it can hit in the right hands, and Nate certainly providing that. But in terms of match day progression, it has just got a lot better from here for Make EU Great Again. 5th place is so much vaster difference from 16th place previous. Look at the kill difference for 1.
Love that. Love that. Tripling their match day 3 kills. I mean, this is what we're looking for. We talk about this a lot, especially when it comes to this region, especially after the changing of rosters between Alliance and Aurora. We are constantly looking for who's stepping up to the plate in EMEA, who's going to be one of the next heavy hitters. And right now we're seeing a lot of teams having such high-level pop-off performances that they're putting themselves in the discussion. Now it's about finding that consistency, being able to repeat that performance and not having it be a one-off mark, because in order to be great, you've got to be able to constantly repeat that. I was going to let you comment on that, but I'm actually being told that the legend himself, Zuni, is our interview and is ready to go.
That's
so let's jump in.
Explain yourself, young man.
Zuni, what happened today? You've got to talk to us, because that was literally and statistically one of the most insane record-breaking performances we've ever seen.
Long story short, last week was one of the worst times I've had ever in Apex history for me. And since then, you know, it's all been a mental game for me, and I've been trying really hard to just get some confidence, and I felt it today.
I need to jump in on the back of this, because I saw some tweets from you, Zuni, saying that you were going to go over to the dark side. You were going to pick up a controller, and by the dark side, I am a controller player, so I'm allowed to say this because I represent them, and I know I go to dark places sometimes. But I mean, today must have given you just so much confidence in your own ability, right? Not just on MNK, but that game in particular. There's certain moments when I watch games and I watch esports, right, where you can just see from a decision-making process that a player is like, I am confident. and there was a few kills I think you picked up in just towards the end game there, and then there was just no second guessing. Is that how it felt in that moment? You were just like, I am unstoppable, like full flow state. I cannot lose a fight at this point.
Absolutely. There was a lot of moments where my teammates, you know, Kai would say, Zuni, you can't die. Don't go for it. Don't go for it. And I'm in my head, I'm just ignoring him. And I know I'm about to kill the guy in front of me. And I'm just going for it. I got like, I think I maybe had like 15 kills in that game, right? And by the time I had reached,
you broke
like,
4 records.
4.
You broke 4 records. You had the most kills in a single game of 15, the most knockdowns in a single game of 18, the most damage in a single game of 4.5k, and the biggest damage difference in a single game of 3.4k in the history of Apex Legends.
And you knew that, but you just wanted Dan to say it out loud. I respect it. I respect it.
How does it feel to do that? How does it feel to like kind of break the previous record by Hal, and suddenly you are now the history maker, and people will be chasing your record?
It feels great, honestly. Like I said last week, I never expected this to happen. Last week was the worst week I've had. My mental has been down in the gutter. Like you said, I was considering swapping the controller. You know, my confidence just been completely shot. And the second I got some kills on the board in that first and second game, I started feeling like I do on LAN, you know? So I was just going for everything, doing whatever I wanted. It felt great.
Go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, I
got you.
I want to talk about the highs and the lows of Apex, right? Because I think it's a game where, especially with the way the game is at the moment, you can have like this massive game and then you're going to have a disappointing game. It feels like just through whatever might happen in the game. How difficult has it been for you you say like last week was a difficult week and like the worst week it's been. Like, how do you pick yourself up? Because let's put this into perspective. Like last split around EWC, all of us are talking about it. A lot of people in Europe are talking about it. Like Citadel Gaming is next team up, next players up. They're performing great. You get to finals, and then it feels like at Champs, you had this great group stage run, and then just something didn't click. Like, do you know what that was? Because it felt like you just fell flat, and you haven't been until now, in my opinion, able to find those standards that you set yourself. Is that something you've been able to identify? And what's it been like kind of working through that process as a team?
A frustrating process. You know, for the last few months, me, Kai, Remix, Bowsy, our coach, we've all known that we're a team that can do like everything, right? But for the last few months, I think my confidence has had a lot to play with it. Like I said, I've been planning to swap the controller. It's just a confidence thing for me. I think back in Champs, you know, we had that great group stage, and I kind of went in with the momentum from groups. And then that first game hit where we died straight away. And I think my confidence was just completely shot from there on. And I just couldn't really pick myself back up. You know, I know, I've always known that I'm a pretty momentum-based player. So when I get the ball rolling, you know, I'm cooking. But I think for the past few months, I've just been struggling to, you know, pick myself up. You know, I've got a lot of people supporting me, who have helped me do that in the last week, because like I said, last week was horrible for me. So I really have to thank everyone around me who's just been kind of helping me pick myself back up and realize that I'm not a bad player, even though the results looked like I was.
I mean, Zuni, were you that committed to controller that you were throwing away mouse pads? What's on your bed? Is that like just all your old mouse mats that you're not using? Like, what's going on here? Were you just throwing everything away? Was the mouse going as well?
It's a cemetery of me trying to find some kind of way to pick myself up. So I was, for the last few weeks, I've been... It did, yeah. Ironically, it was the same one I used at Champs.
Oh, there you go.
So here we are.
I think the technical term for this is head casing. You've been head casing a little bit about it. Just a little bit. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Now, listen, I know we've been hyping you up a lot because you absolutely deserve it after today, but on a broader side of things, like, it wasn't just you that did well. Like, you guys just looked like a solid team here today. So talk to me a little bit about what the vibe was like all day long between the three of you, because you truly were moving as a unit. You were working together really well. You all looked confident, not just you. What changed from week to week?
I think we've done this last split too. I think mentally, subconsciously, when there's not much on the line, like when we think we've got it in the bag, that's when we drop the ball a bit. But I think when we really have to do it, is when we actually kind of like lock in, for example. But I think for the last few weeks we've been really focusing on our comms, and I think all our comms today were great. I think at every point in the game we all knew what each other were doing. We were just bouncing back and forth between each other. It was great. It was really fluid. There was only one moment today I can think of where there was like a miscommunication and we didn't understand something. So I think the last few weeks have just been comms mostly for us that I've been working on.
I just want to say one final thing here. It's not so much a question, it's more of a statement, like from me, and I'm sure that Dan and Lauren share it. It's like, you were saying you're down on confidence, you were down on your own ability. Let me tell you, one of my favorite POVs to watch in all of the ALGS. I think what you do on Mouse and Key is incredible and phenomenal, and watching you flow today was incredible to watch. So if that confidence goes down again, watch this back, because you are genuinely one of my favorite POVs to watch, because you can do things that not many people can, and I think you got to remember that sometimes during those load moments. So congratulations on today. 4 records broken, winning the day. Enjoy yourself tonight. It's a fantastic day.
I definitely will. 100%. Thank you.
100%. Zuni, before we say goodbye, thank you so much for jumping on here and talking with us. Do you want to do any shout outs after this amazing performance here today?
I mean, I just want to shout out everyone that's, been in my stream. I want to shout out my girlfriend, Zona. She's been really helping me. Everyone on my stream has been really supportive. I post a lot of content and I get people in my comments saying I'm the best player alive. I don't believe it personally, not there yet, but I really appreciate the kind words. It really helps me bring myself back up. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, congratulations yet again, Zuni. Talk about a performance, entertained everybody here watching today, and hopefully we'll be able to chat with you again soon.
Hope so.
Also, Zona and Zuni, adorable.
He dares change the controller. No,
he won't after that.
I live in England, Zuni. I will find you. Okay, I will. To help you buy a controller. That sounded scarier than it needed to. I'm sorry.
I do like that he had like 4 mouse mats that he clearly had just been like, nope, this one doesn't work. This one doesn't work. I'm going back to my champs one. And yeah, now you want to dust that one off, keep that one nice and fresh for you, because actually it's probably, you know what? The mouse mat he used today was probably the one that has a few stains on it. You're thinking I should probably throw this one away, but it worked today. So now you keep it and you have to use it for the rest of the time.
Old trusty. Old,
trusty.
Yeah. It's going to be 2 years from now. There's going to be holes in the corners, and he's still going to be using the same mouse mat.
So that's the one where I had like sick Craber flick, and my mouse got caught in the corner. It just becomes like a patchwork of like magic.
It's
moments.
Memories.
Yeah.
Oh, what a day! What a day! After all of that chaos, Mark, give me your final thoughts on what we got. Halfway point for EMEA, now done and dusted.
Again, much like we've seen, it was a day of big games. It was just one team had the biggest game that we've seen so far this split. So I just want to say congratulations to Citadel. It's great to see them back, and I'm really hoping they continue with that momentum as well. Aurora with a big win, Alliance with a big moment as well, and I think that everyone's starting to realize that this is like a mental game at the moment, the ALGS, where you can have 5 kind of average, slightly dud games, but there's always the chance of one big game, if you stay in it mentally, that you can really put yourself in a position to win in a match stage. So, yeah, congratulations to Citadel. I'm very glad to see them doing well.
Agree. Dan, what about you?
I was impressed by Mystic Mark, Big Decision Dan, the Guru Glitter. Like, everyone came through when they needed to today. And no, honestly, it was a really fun day. I think that EMEA sometimes can be a little bit strange to watch at times, with compositions changing all over the place, and they're happy to experiment. And we saw a little bit of that experimentation today. They went against scrims. I think that's one of the interesting things. The bans were identical, like going through scrims, and then they completely changed today as people realized that really Maggie is such a huge threat, and one of the main reasons we saw Zuni break 4 records was because of Maggie being a part of that. So I'm interested to see how that leads into Americas, as I'm sure they're watching it, and maybe that will change their bans as well.
100%. 100%. Well, as always, chat, you can always just make sure you're following along with us on social media, whether that's at Play Apex Esports on X, YouTube, Insta, and TikTok, or at Play Apex on Twitch to stay up to date with everything. But you know that we are not done for the day today. You guys know the drill, okay? Now that EMEA is done, that just means we head on over to the Americas. So make sure you come back here at 6 p.m. ET, 3 p.m. PT to see what happens in that region. Until then, stretch your legs, maybe get some sun, hop into some games of Apex, and test out some of the stuff that you've seen here today. And we'll see you right back here in just a couple hours, legends.